Live, what's up? This is Coffee Ride. I'm DJ Mars Miranda. Joining me tonight from Portugal, Paco Ochoa, only Pinoy pro cyclist in Europe. And we have a very special show for you guys tonight. We're going to talk about something that Paco and I have no idea. We have no idea about this topic. That's why we're joined by Paolo Esguerra from Slow Moes Culture and Surly. Paano ba to, bro? Surly
Certainly
Fffnas.
Fffnas, bro.
Surly Fffnas. What's up? Ayan, ang
What's
dami
up,
na
guys?
Ang dami
Hello.
nakaabang eh. So ito, from the get-go, sabihin na namin sa'yo, bro, wala kaming alam. As in, wala kami. All we know is, gravel bikes. You go on a different road, di ba? Iba sa dynamic na alam namin eh. So I guess like everyone who's watching, yun, they also want to know. So batiin lang natin, Joseph David. So from I Love My Wife Cycling Club, Ed Glipa, Alvin, Tony Pet Sarmiento, happy birthday. Ike di ba? Oh, di ba? Diyan na si Ike nanonood.
Ay, kasalanan mo to, bro.
Ayan. Ayan, from Dubai, Yan Borja, hello. Ito yung mga always present eh. Earl Bautista, andun silang lahat. So ayan, sana natin. Thank you for joining us, but before anything
Thanks for inviting me, man. Thank you.
Because this has been something that syempre kami rin interested. Kasi nga, like before the show, you're talking about it. Ang dami nagtatanong sa akin about when they ask for anong bike ba. First bike or lahat gravel eh. Ang daming towards gravel eh. So, okay, basic stuff. Ano
I
ang
think gravel bikes appeal as a first bike kasi for people who live in and around Manila, gravel bikes sort of make sense more of the time for more of the rides that we actually do. So when you live in Manila, it's mostly you ride some trails, urban rides. Nearly all of your rides have some sort of road section, unless you drive to where you ride. Pero with the traffic now, diba, some people just choose to ride. So I think that's the reason why it's so attractive, kasi it gives you probably 80% of the performance of a road bike, but you can also take it off-road. You can take it on some light trails, fire roads, and to be honest, the trails that you might find in and around Manila, near the greater Metro Manila area, kaya naman ng gravel bike. Like Puting Bato, it's just a long fire road, or actually yung mga back parts ng Timberland, Mount Maarat. Yeah. These are things that are totally doable on gravel bikes. And yun nga, if your friends are, they're new riders that they started riding during the pandemic, mostly it's just people getting together and riding urban rides or just going up to Antipolo or something. So a gravel bike can do that too. Pansin ko nga recently, wala masyadong bumibili ng mga hardtail na cross-country bikes. Kasi usually, di ba dati, yun ang first bike ng mga tao. Yung parang, it's something that can technically do anything, but you can still use on the road. Pero, you think of it, if you're riding like 75% road and 25% trail, a mountain bike is still overkill for that. Diba? Technically, you can do without suspension. The tires are large, so yung rolling resistance niya sa kalye, hindi kasing ganda ng gravel tire, which is smaller, lighter. So I think that's the reason why a lot of people are turning to gravel bikes. Kasi, yun nga, it makes sense more of the time for more of the rides that we actually do in and around Manila. I mean, if you live in the mountains and you're lucky to have a lot of good trails, by all means, get a mountain bike. But in an urban setting, I guess something like a gravel bike is really attractive to people who want to start cycling.
Oh, kasi parang I noticed then, the most common reason behind asking about gravel bikes is, aside from the purpose of, riding both road and light trails, marami sa kanilang parang hindi ba dapat gravel kasi pangit yung daan, takot ako ma-flat,
Exactly.
'di ba?
Actually ako, I've tried a road bike couple of times lang. Sobrang nervous ako kasi ang nipis ng gulong 25C, 'di ba? 23C, 28C, even 28C is small for me. I mean, the smallest I've ever run on my bike is a 40C and liit na ako doon. So, I guess para sa inyo mga roadie, taba nun, 'di ba? Ako kasi when I started biking, I was a downhiller. So
Okay.
This was back in college around 2007. So I started as a downhiller. So I was used to biking off-road talaga. So very technical trails, ganyan. Tapos as I grew older, pawala yung suspension, naging enduro, tapos naging rigid. Tapos ngayon, gravel bike na lang, wala nang suspension. Kasi parang I guess na-realize ko na you really have to pick a bike that does a lot of what your riding calls for. So if you're in and around Manila, a gravel bike's actually perfect kasi the roads are really not very good here. If you're on a road bike, you have to be alert all the time. 'Di ba? Yung mga yung mga drainage lang, 'di ba? Na kapag napasok yung gulong mo doon, semplang ka kagad.
Semplang ka doon.
Oh, 'di ba? Yung parang mga drainage sa tabi or yung mga entry exit ng mga parking. Yun, usually yun ang yung mayari sa mga roadies. Actually, a gravel bike can deal with Manila's very bad roads quite well. Tapos it's you can if you ride with roadies, then you can pretty much keep up with it. Pero siguro sa pukpukan yun, talo ka na. Pero yung mga chill lang hanggang mga 35, mga ganyan, kaya mo naman sumunod. Pero pag lumampas na ng 40, medyo na yun, lugi ka na. Pero
so kailan mo na so nag-start ka downhill, so mountain bike ka din, 'di ba? So kailan ka na pasok sa gravel? Meron bang in between pa yan
May in between in the sense na I was addicted to downhilling kasi sarap it's really a rush. Tapos na-attract ako doon kasi hindi ka pumapadyak di ba? Hawak ka lang sa bike tapos pababa ka lang di ba? It was really more of a technical thing na kailangan alert yung mata mo. Ganyan, doon ako na-challenge na kailangan mabilis ka maghanap ng linya. Tapos may mga times na bigla mawawala na lang yung trail kasi nasa area ka na pala. Mga gano'n. Tapos I just found it a bit too costly kasi riding downhill, you can never ride alone kasi it's not safe. It's hard to find people to ride with you. So I went down to an enduro bike, something that was more versatile. And then a friend lent me a single speed steel rigid mountain bike. So
speed
rigid mountain bike. So the most basic bike. So it was just a steel mountain bike, no gears, just brakes, and grabe sobrang nahook ako doon. And I was surprised how capable it was despite having no suspension, no gears. It was more of really just you and the bike. Medyo zen yung feeling. Tapos pag nasa trail ka, you feel like you're rushing. Kasi with a single speed bike, what you have to do on the trail is to maintain momentum. You want to avoid actually having to pedal out of stuff because you only have one gear. So you typically go into corners as fast as you can, exiting it as fast as you can. So parang yung sense of speed is so much different from other bikes. So doon ako na-hook. And then I got into yung group nga namin, yung Fffnas, and doon ko nakita yung mga iba-ibang builds. Na yung builds nila more of utilitarian. So these people usually commute on their bikes or do bike touring. Yung nawawala sila ng mga 2-3 linggo. So nagbabike lang sila around
Linggo
the
no?
Philippines. Linggo, pare, mga ganun. Nag-Philippine loop sila. Tapos na-attract ako dun sa versatility ng mga bikes nila. In the sense that they needed something that could carry a lot of stuff, that could go to places that are also yung mga hindi nila alam. You have to more or less be ready for anything, because if you're going somewhere that you've never been, hindi mo naman alam kung maganda yung kalye or kung may these are the
Or
things.
kung may kalye.
Or kung may kalye at all. So
Oo.
usually what they do is they get yung mga sturdy na mga touring bikes that you can actually fit bigger tires. And then they put drop bars or alternative bars, yung mga alt bars like yung mga Jones Loop bar, yung mga medyo mas mga weird na bar, mga bulbous, nandito. Kasi it was more of being comfortable on the bike when you're actually trying to do these distances over terrain that you really don't know what to expect. So nakita ko yung mga setup dun sa group na yun, na parang pwede pala to. Nakita ko yung mga mountain bike na naka-drop bar, yung mga monster cross na setup. And then that's when I started na parang I want to build something like that. Kasi parang it really makes more sense for the riding that I wanted to do. Kasi at that time I felt like I outgrew na the aggressive riding side. Kasi, and I did not want to deal with the constant maintenance of full suspension bikes. Kasi it's
ang dami mong asikasuhin.
Ang dami mong asikasuhin. Like every so number of months, you have to rebuild the suspension. When the bearings go wrong, you have to change them. Syempre, dahil you're riding it so aggressively, pagod na pagod yung bike palagi. So I didn't want to deal with that I wanted something that was more tailored to more of the rides that I do. So nag-shift ako sa mga rigid na bikes that I put drop bars on them. At that time wala pang GRX na group set. So nagmi-mix and match kami ng mga piyesa na hindi namin alam kung aandar. Yung mga tipong lalagay ka ng mga 105 na, kasi never akong bumili ng kompletong group set. To give you an idea, my first build was an on-one inbred na mountain bike. It was a steel mountain bike. Yes. With a rigid fork, tapos naka drop bars. Pero the group set was 105 na 6800 na mechanical STIs, so 11 speed. Tapos yung likod, 105 rin na RD, pero yung cassette ko, XT na 11 to 42. Tapos yung crank ko, Alivio. Tapos yung FD ko, parang SLX. Parang gano'n, parang pinag-untog namin lahat. Pero parang napagana namin. Parang okay, pwede pa lang we kept on thinking of ways to hack the drivetrain. Kasi a 5800 na 105 RD is not designed to go all the way up to 40 or 42 teeth, di ba? Pero hinahack namin yung mga B-screw, kakabit kami ng mga B-screw na mga haba, bili kami sa hardware, ganun. So at that time that we were starting to build those kinds of things, it was really, parang you really have to be ingenious about it. Eh ngayon, andali, kasi GRX is technically the synthesis of what people were doing before. Na they were just mixing and matching parts. Kaya ngayon, it's actually quite easy to build a build like that. Dati, we had to tiptoe around the standards and specifications of certain things that differ between road and mountain bikes. Kasi you're building something in between. So, imagine yung BB pa lang, parang sa road, di ba, makitid yung BB. So, pag kinabitan mo ng road na RD yung mountain bike mo na parang hindi siya nagkakambyo ng tama, basta maraming hacks kaming ginawa dati. Na it was sort of an enjoyable thing din, trying to come up with a setup that was tailored to you, but tailored for more of the the stuff that you wanted to do. Like if you're a bike tourist, you'd probably end up with something with racks or something provisions for bags. If you like climbing, you'd have a really wide range cassette or wide range gearing,
Gearing.
something like that. Parang ngayon kasi it's simple because you have GRX, which is made to work with mountain bike cassettes. Pero dati you'd have to think of ano kaya ipapakambyo tong RD na designed lang hanggang 2080 pero gusto mo salpakan ng 42 teeth na cassette. Diba? Parang banat na banat yung mga gamit, di ba? Parang it was a sort of parang naging puzzle siya sa amin dati. Pero that's really how I started. And then yun nga, that was siguro way back in around 2015, 2016. And then yun nga, nagkaroon ng revolution yung gravel bikes mostly because of bike packing. Kasi it's actually the most efficient bike to take if you want to go touring or bike packing. Kasi you could go anywhere with it. So certain big brands started to cater to that side of the market na was usually reserved lang for yung mga medyo yung mas chill na na riders, yung tipong pasyal-pasyal lang, gano'n. So suddenly that side of the cycling spectrum had been taken notice of. So yun yung maganda ngayon. If you really want to build a gravel bike, there's so much support either way from bike manufacturers, group set manufacturers, component manufacturers. Ang dami. Habang dati, you just had to find what was gonna work with your setup.
Wait, ito may tanong. Since we're talking about setups and building bikes, may nagtanong dito, Harley D, what's the lightest build for a gravel bike? Siyempre, wow, ito yung mga unang tinatanong. Or does it matter? Kung kasi siyempre pag road bike,
yeah,
syempre,
it's a weight thing, diba?
Pag-aanan yan di ba? Pero pag gravel ba or touring, does it matter that may ba siya?
Bro, actually joke yun sa group namin na yung group lang namin yung pag nag-upgrade ng bike. Actually yung bike bumibigat, hindi siya gumagaan. Kasi nagdadagdag ng mga rack, nagdadagdag ng bag, nagdadagdag ng ganito. From my experience, I've never owned a bike that's light. I mean I ride a Surrey. Surreys are known for being heavy. So of course there's a benefit for lightweight. Lalo na if you ride unloaded more of the time. The lightweight is gonna make a difference. Pero sa amin kasi more of we don't mind it being heavy as long as efficient siyang pajak. Like to give you an idea, my bike is a Surrey Midnight Special. So I have carbon wheels on it and I have a carbon fork.
Okay. Wait, bro, may picture kami ng bike mo. Alin ba dito? So you sent us photo.
Yung puti, bro. Yung puti.
Yan. Hindi namin. Sige. Eto, yeah. So pag-usapan natin yung setup. Ayan.
Yan.
Ito yung bike number 1.
Yeah, I mean, at first look, you would think na, magaan siguro to kasi naka-carbon wheels to, tapos naka-carbon fork, ganyan. That bike actually weighs around, I think, 11 kilos. So, it's definitely not light. Pero, I'd like to think that I built in functionality to the bike, in the sense na I have a Brook saddle which is heavy, but it's super comfortable. I mean, I could sit on I've done odd access on that thing, and after 200-300 kilometers, it's fine. The wheel set actually is built with 32 holes in it. Kasi usually pag carbon rims 24 lang. Kasi I was using different rims before, and my bike actually has a front hub dynamo. it powers a dynamo light with USB charger. So I'm actually independent of charging or whatever. I can charge my phone off of my bike. So, which is important for touring. Pero I had these wheels built by Edward ng Carbonation. So I asked him, sabi ko, Edward, I don't want to waste my house. Can you custom drill me rims with 32 holes? And I need the trim to be more sturdy kasi I plan to use it off-road half of the time. And sabi niya, yeah, I can do that for you. So that's another thing that made the bike heavy, more spokes, tsaka nakahub dynamo ako. Tapos actually yung ibang parts are more of stylistic na lang na I have this stem, yung stem niya actually is very heavy pero I like it because it looks like a V. Ganon, dalawa yung ulo niya. Oh, it's more of a stylistic thing na lang na I wanted the bike to be pretty quirky. Pero what I would like to think is I built up a very efficient to pedal na bike. Kasi yung hub sa likod is very fast engaging. Naka-wide range ako nakaset, 11 to 40 yan with 48, 32 na chainring sa harap. So the range of that bike is actually, I think, 560% ata ng range, parang gano'n. So there's no one bike on earth that can match that range unless you have a one bike that has a 10 to 56 cog in the back. Parang gano'n. So I wanted to be ready kasi if I ride loaded and I chance upon this climb na I have to go up, it's very steep. I need the range, diba? Tapos if you need to cover a lot of distances on the flat, you also need a pretty tall gear for the flat parts, diba? So for me kasi naisip ko 48-11 is something that I probably will not be able to spin unless may tailwind tapos may slight na pababa. Tapos 32 to 40 sa likod is on a bike with 42C tires is super pare pang yun, pampitas na ng bunga sa puno yun. Sobrang lahat na pwede makakitin doon, di ba? So parang I did not think of weight when I built the bike. I just wanted it to be versatile. I wanted it to be able to climb whatever thing that I needed to get to. I wanted it to be comfortable even if it was loaded with a lot of stuff. So I guess I traded the weight for the versatility and functionality of the bike.
So ito isa kasi mukhang maraming tatanong, crank. Ano ba yung crank man at marami na nag-mine? Mine po yung hubs, mine po yung crank.
Ano yan?
Yung fork. Ay, dami. Naging online selling tayo. Puro mine Okay.
Sa Bikezilla po. Sa Bikezilla. Hindi, Cane Creek siya na wings, yung titanium na crank arms. Tapos, those are absolute black.
Absolute
na oval na chain rings. Actually, I only chanced upon parang I wanted a super compact, subcompact crank, so 4832. Absolute Black is the only chainring maker who makes 4832 for the 5x110 bolt pattern. So it's either bumili ako ng Absolute Black or hindi ko magagamit yung crankset. So doon ako nauwi sa Absolute Black. So some people think na parang, uy, Absolute Black. I mean, hindi. Wala lang talaga akong choice. Kaya dyan ako nauwi.
Ito, sagutin natin yung ibang questions. Puro sa, biglang
sure.
Okay, from Harley D again. You can use a 29er rim in replace of a 700C.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
yes, you can. It's the same. It's actually the same diameter. So, dati kami, when we were building up our service, syempre, we would want to put in the biggest tire that we could in the frame. So we would defy yung manufacturer specifications na to give you an idea, I had this 30 straggler na supposedly sabi nila hanggang 45C lang ata yung kaya. Kinabit ko parang 29 by 2.1 ata, something like that. By sort of hacking the drivetrain din, iwas ng ganito. Tapos you would use mountain bike rims para mas pumutok yung tire so that it would sit lower sa profile, something like that. So you can use mountain bike tires, mountain bike rims on a gravel bike kasi it's exactly the same diameter as the 700 series.
Ayan, ito may mga nagpapa-shout out. Sir Paolo, from Jefford, Kuwa?
Si Jepo yan, mga kagrupo.
Ayan, pa-shout out daw po.
Mga ano lang yung mga nanggugulo lang yan. Pakiban po sila, pakiban.
From Paul Aber, friend ko yan. O, di ba? Proud siya eh. AJ Barreto, Idol Pao.
Yan, mga listahan naman pwede iban yan. yung fork. The fork of the bike is actually it's made by Rodeo Adventure Labs. It's called the Spork 2.0. It's a carbon fork that was designed talaga for bike packing. So it comes with rack mounts on the side. Has rack mounts on the side. It has mounts on the inside. And then there's an internal routing for the dynamo cable. So the wire from the dynamo goes into the fork, and then my internal brake routing din siya. It's definitely not the lightest carbon fork. It's a lot heavier than an NV fork or a whiskey fork. Pero the reason why I really like the fork is that it did not feel like a carbon fork when I rode it. Because I'm used to riding a steel bike, and steel bikes are famous for their ride quality, diba? Kasi very supple yung ride, maganda yung vibration dampening. And actually sa early midnight special, the first upgrade that people usually do is they buy a carbon fork. Because the stock fork is, I think, 1.3 kilos kagad. So if you switch to a carbon fork, you save at least 1.5 pounds. So, diba, that's huge. Pero you lose the supple ride. And what I liked about this fork is that it actually rides like a stiff steel fork. Because what I don't like about carbon forks is out on the trails, I mean, it feels chattery. Yung parang very ano yung vibration niya. Very hindi pleasant eh. Yung feeling mo parang mababali yun. So the reason why I like this fork, actually a friend sold it to me, made me try it. Yung friend ko si BJ ng Slow Moes was like, oh, subukan mo muna. Sinubukan ko, nagustuhan ko. So I purchased the fork. Pero that's the reason why I got the fork, because it doesn't feel like a carbon fork. I think it's 100 grams heavier than a usual carbon fork, which is huge. Pero mas doon ako sa I'd like the bike to feel a certain way as compared to it weighing a certain amount. I wouldn't mind having extra weight as long as the bike feels a lot better on it.
Ito yung mga question. Ray Reyes, Shirley Bikes Philippines, the best.
mga grupo yan.
Ayan. Batiin na natin since nanonood sila, di ba?
Ray, tumigil ka na taga-sira ng bike yan si Ray eh. Ang ano kasi, hardcore kasi yan eh.
Paano sinisira yung bike?
Ano yan eh, mahilig kasi magkarga ng kung ano-ano sa mga bike yan eh. I mean, si Ray kasi is one of the members of our group na he likes riding loaded all the time. So he used to go back to work siya, or I think he has this business now, I think Rice Kitchen, na he sells food. He's actually a very good cook. So ang pang-deliver niya, meron siyang surly na bike, tapos may trailer siya sa likod ng bike. Tapos may cooler yung trailer. Tapos yun yung pan-deliver niya. Tapos yung trailer niya, yung gulong pa ng trailer niya, fat bike pa. Parang gano'n siya. Kaya yung mga bisikleta niya pagod. Kasi palaging ang bibigat ng karga.
Yan ang maganda. Di ba usually yung mga kasama natin nagbibuild at sila may taga-sira.
Si Ryan yan. Ano, the Destroyer nga yan. The Destroyer. Mahilig mo na yan.
Ayan.
Kilabot ng warranty yan.
Kilabot ng warranty. Yun eh. Ayan, tanong din ni Ray, may kinalaman ba ang short sa touring, sir? Baka may short story tayo.
Nila ako palagi kasi pag nag-bike ako, palagi ako naka-shorts sa pang-swimming. Alam mo yan, yung nabibili sa H&M, yung mga tipo 500 pesos. And the reason why I bike na nakagano'n, kasi sa presko di ba? Tapos, pag naabutan ka somewhere na umulan, nakapan-swimming ka naman di okay lang, mabasa ka, diba? So, parang for me, it was really more of a choice made towards practicality as compared to, gusto ko kasi naka-shorts ako Iniinis nila ako palagi kasi parang palagi naka-shorts Pero actually, ano lang yun, parang, ako kasi pag nagbabike ako, yung tipong talagang mukhang lumabas na ako ng bahay. Yung tipong bibili ka lang sa kanto. Gano'n. Pag yung ride medyo maiksi lang, usually gano'n lang yung suot ko. Pero pag may mga long ride, mga 100, 120 kilometers, mga 200, may mga jersey naman ako. So, hindi naman ako palagi yung mga... Hindi naman ako yung tipong yung naka-dry fit lang palagi tsaka shorts. May mga damit naman ako.
Ito, Miggy Esguerra. Woohoo, my brother's an influencer. Yan.
That's my brother.
Good evening. Marco Sadsad. Short shorts better than mamil. Diba?
Hey, can I just say, sa mga taong nagsasabi, mga ayaw lang pumadyak yung mga ganyan, yung mga naka-beamset, ganyan. Subukan nyo muna. Kasi, in fairness, masarap naman talaga pumadyak ng naka-beamset Kasi, di ba, feeling mo parang free to move. Tapos, alam mo yun, very unhindered yung movement mo So, ang dami mga tao na parang ayaw lang mag-ano kasi ayoko lang yung pakat-pakat yung Subukan nyo kasi muna mag-bike ng nakagatan. I mean, it feels better to ride like that.
Pwede naman Rai spec shorts. Pwede rin naman. Pwede din naman yan.
Pakiban nga yan si Rai, pakiban. I-mute nyo.
Eto, Victor Ciso, favorite ko yung DIY Vans cleats. Yun. Dami palang na to si Pao Daming secret gear
Before di ba ngayon may lumabas na Adidas na Velo Samba, di ba? Yung
Samba.
Yung Samba na may clipless.
Yes.
A few months before that kasi, quarantine tayo, so stuck tayo sa bahay. Naglilinis ako ng closet ko. Meron akong Hero na urban shoes na, those shoes kapag hindi mo ginagamit, yung nagpupulbos yung swelas. So, dapat itatapon ko na. Tapos na-realize ko, meron siya nung plastic na foot plate where you put the cleat on. Kung saan mo kinakabit yung cleat. Sabi ko, salvage ko kaya to. So, I put them in regular na Vans na Authentics. Tapos binutas ko yung ilalim. So, gumawa ako ng clipless na Vans. Tapos, pumunta ako dyan kay Vic sa Specialized. Sabi ko, parang nakita mo na ba yung sapatos ko? Pag angat ko yung pa, sabi ko, siya may clipless ba na Vans? Hindi, ginawa ko lang yun So, since then, so, nung lumabas yung Velo Samba, sinasabi na palagi, parang nauna ka ba doon sa Velo Samba? Magawa ka ng sarili ng sapatos sa bahay. Sabi ko, mighty band lang naman katapat doon So, kasi pinasok ko lang talaga, glilo ko lang.
Yun Meron palang, yan ang kagagawa ng pandemic Yan nagagawa.
Pare.
Marami kang oras
De bro, tsaka ako, nung pandemic, hindi ako bumili ng trainer. Kasi, I mean, for me, alam ko kasi na hindi ko rin may enjoy yung nagte-trainer. Kasi, nagbabike ako para makalabas. So, when everyone was buying trainers, wala ako. Talaga nanonood lang ako ng TV. Pero, minsan nagdanakaw ako ng oras, ikot ako dito sa village. Pero at that time, pati bike sa village, bawal. Isita ako ng kwarto. So talagang naghanap na lang ako ng mga bagay na panlibang na lang sa bahay. So, yun yung mga nangyari. Yung mga gumagawa ka ng mga sapatos.
Pero eto, since we're talking about it, syempre marami ditong nanonood na they wanna get into it. They're starting, they're doing it already. Gear. Ano bang gear ang usually dala mo sa pag nagra-ride ka? So, I guess you can classify it by distance. Tama ba? Syempre, iba-iba yan, di ba?
I guess you just have to be prepared for whatever. The basics still ring true even sa gravel bikes. You have to bring a small pump, tools, tubes. Whether you ride tubeless or not, you need at least one tube. Well, yun, water, bottle cage, yan. In terms of what you need to wear, just wear what you want to wear. I mean, that's the good thing about yung side ng gravel bikes. It's a more relaxed side, di ba? I mean, I don't know if you guys saw yung video ng Rafa Films when the members of EF joined yung Dirty Kanza. And Rafa actually made them special shirts to compete in the Dirty Kanza. So, hindi nga sila naka-jersey, naka-t-shirt lang sila. So, I mean, I guess that's the perfect example of just go out and ride, wearing what you feel like you're very comfortable wearing. Just make sure that you have enough stuff.
Sorry. From AJ Barreto, sino ang paborito mong kalbo? Sorry, kasi nakikita namin yung comments na naman.
Hindi, mga kagrupo ko yan eh. Pare, Jay, isa lang naman. Si AB lang naman or si Agu ang labanan eh. Agu Paiso or...
Yun, sasabihin ko, si Agu yung naka-single speed na mountain bike. Tama ba?
Pare, si Agu. Ano yan? Nakikita namin dati yan sa Timberland. So nag-mountain bike pa kami, nag-enduro pa kami ng kaibigan. Tapos kasama niya yung friend niya si JM na umaakit sila doon. Pareho sila naka-SS na bike. Tapos manghang-mangha kami doon na parang, pucha, grabe, walang cambio yung mga tao. Parang sobrang basic ng bike nila, walang cambio. Kami noon, lahat na nung cambio, nilagay na namin doon sa bike. Hirap na hirap pa rin kami, di ba? So, si Agu, nung nakilala ko yan, pagka sa amin nung kaibigan ko si Nino, medyo ano na yan pagka-legend status na yan. Tapos lumalaban sa ano yan, sa
Australia, di ba?
Mga ganyan. Yeah, no, sa New Zealand, sa Rotorua. Yun. Single Speed World Cup, mga gano'n. Kaya si Agu, ano talaga yan, malakas talaga yan.
Si Agu kasi, teammate ko yun sa football dati ba? So,
talaga?
So kaya alam ko, nung sinabi mo yung may naka-single speed na mountain bike na steed.
Yeah, si Agu na yun.
Sigurado si Agu to.
Alala ko yung bike niya nun, ano pa Pereira. Basta ito sa custom handmade na mountain bike. So, made to measure. Grabe, no? Kami ng time na yun. Feeling namin yung mga bike namin ang gaganda Kasi naka-enduro, so gaganda ng suspension, puro bago yung Tapos here come these guys na feeling namin mga normal lang na bike, walang suspension, walang cambio. Tapos, pag umiikot doon sa Timberland, kala mo wala lang. Tapos, sabi namin, sino kaya itong mga loro, lalakas siguro nito. So, since that time, kaya actually ang sabi I remember this quote pertaining to single speeding. My friend told me na, pag naka-enduro bike ka, tapos dumating ka sa parang pahingahan, rest stop. Siya, naisipin ng mga tao, parang, ganda ng bike, ganyan. Tapos pag naka-single speed ka daw, pag dumating ka sa resta, isipin naman tao, lakas siguro nito, no? Walang cambio. Kumbaga doon sila sa tao ng mamanga eh.
Sa
Hindi
tao
doon sa
sa
bike.
bike.
Oo, kasi kumbaga kargado yung tao eh. Diba? Kasi walang cambio eh.
Ito medyo balikan natin yung marami palang technical stuff din dito eh.
I'll try
Ito,
to answer the technical stuff.
at from Joseph David, question. 650B or 700C and why? Pros and cons. So tires, wheel size.
Well, marami kasing maraming differing opinions about that. Pero ako, I'm firmly in the 700C camp. I like 700C a lot better. Feeling ko it's a lot more efficient. They say that it's harder to accelerate, it's harder to climb because the wheel is taller, pero gearing saves that naman. Gearing will solve that problem. You just have to have a bike with good gearing. And that problem is solved. I mean, I don't really like 650B because I remember I watched this study sa Bike Radar yung gumawa eh. It was comparing 26, 27.5, and 29. And actually worst in terms of their data is the 27.5. Kasi in between eh. Na parang you gain a lot of the drawbacks of the smaller wheel size, but you don't get a lot of the benefits of the bigger wheel size. So parang jack of all trades, master of none. Parang so ako I used to run my midnight special on a 650B nung nag-order ako kay Edward and I was waiting for my wheel set. I was running at 650B. I really did not enjoy it kasi I felt like it did not carry momentum very well. Then people usually go down a wheel size to have more tire volume. Yung bababa sila ng 650B to have a bigger tire kasi you have more tire clearance. Pero sa midnight special, I felt like it did not make any sense kasi I ran a 45C, the 700C. Tapos, people usually run a 650B, a smaller wheel size, pero 47. And I did not see the sense in that kasi you will go down an entire wheel size to gain 2 mm of width. That's pretty, I mean, it's not very logical. I mean, if you're gonna go down wheel size, go big na. Go max out the clearance, go 2.3, 2.2. Pero yun nga, parang for me it just it feels slow. 650B for me. I mean, if you're a bit of a shorter rider and you'd want your bike to look more proportional, I mean, the 650B is I mean, there's a place for it. Pero sa akin, in terms of gravel riding, I really did not subscribe to the trend ng 650. Feeling ko 700 pa rin. 700 pa rin ang mag.
Ito, gearing naman, Harley D, gearing ratio. What's the best ideal setup? Kasi pag road bike group set, ang hirap even if you have a 32T. Yeah.
Okay. Feeling ko gearing is really what sets apart a good gravel bike depending on how you want to use it. I mean, recently one bike has been a huge trend, di ba? People are going one bike. Pero ako kasi I really don't like one bike. Parang I feel like it's such a limiting thing. In the sense na one bike, yes, it makes sense for most of the riding that you do. Pero when you go bike touring or you want to explore new places, it's the extremities that you actually need. It's the range that's lower that will not be given by one bike, or it's the top end, kumbaga a higher gearing that will not be given also by one bike. Kasi to give you an idea, if you have a usually one bike is 11 to 42 sa likod, tapos 42 yung harap mo. So you have a climbing gear of 42, tapos 40. And that's very light for a bike with 40mm tires. Pero what if you're riding loaded? What if you have stuff on your bike? Tapos biglang matarik. Suddenly the gear becomes very heavy. Or what if what if you're riding in a group? Example, roadie ride. May mga kaibigan ka roadie. Peloton kayo. 40-11 does not seem like a gear tall enough to be able to keep pace unless you spin a really high cadence, diba? Unlike if you have like a 2x, that's why I went with my setup, which is a 48-32 and then 11-40. 48-11 is pretty tall. I mean, I definitely cannot spin that on the flat. Unless may trangko, diba? Or may slight downhill or may tailwind. Yun, siguro kaya kong bilugin yun. Pero that's more than enough top speed that you will ever need. Diba? I mean, if you spin a 48-11, you'll probably be going over 50 kilometers per hour, 50-60. Diba? That's very fast. Tapos, on the other side of the spectrum, my granny is a 32-40 in the back. So that's mountain bike gearing. So you could pretty much climb anything a mountain bike can climb. So para sa akin, in terms of gearing, I'd rather go for versatility. Technically, my bike naman, I can ride it like a one bike. I ride it like a one bike most of the time. 48, tapos naglalaro lang ako sa likod. Kasi actually 48-40, marami ka na maaahap. Pero for those eventualities na magugulat ka, na biglang dinala ka ng kaibigan dito, binubudol ka ng kaibigan mo, di ba? O, di ko tayo dito, biglang ahon pala. O, di ba, may baon ka, may 32 ka. So, it's really about being, I'd like to build my bikes to be able to be ready for everything that you might encounter. So for me, gearing talaga is key. Kasi it really dictates the versatility of your bike and where you're gonna be able to bring it.
Yan yung mabuti ng nandyan, tapos hindi mo kailangan. Kaysa yung kailanganin mo, tapos
exactly.
Wala siya dyan.
Better have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So,
yep.
Ganun lang yun. Ang dami kasi nagsasabi. Asin kasi pag may FD, kasi tono-tono pa. Ang dali-dali magtono ng FD. Diba? I mean, it's just an indexing thing. Tsaka, kung ayaw magtono ng FD, dali mo ng bike shop, diba? I mean, it's people are just really finding reasons against it. And I get the novelty of one bike. I get the ease of use or whatever. Pero personally, for me, it's really not for me. I all my bikes are 2x apart from my single speed, which is, yun nga, wala namang cambio. So 2x really for me is the most versatile configuration.
Ayan.
Shout out lang kay Sir Jimmy Barinaga, President CEO of Royal Enfield Philippines. Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Torments na.
Baka naman.
Ito, meron akong
isang tanong. Ayan. Kasi syempre wala kami, ang dami na natutunan ngayon eh.
Di ba, kasi throughout the episode, ang pinag-uusapan natin yung evolution ng equipment, ng gears, ng para sa gravel riding. Nakita natin nag-evolve yung mga manufacturers tulad ng Specialized, Trek, na ngayon nag-cater na sila for gravel riding. Meron silang specific na frames or setup just for gravel riding. And ngayon may SRAM, may Shimano GRX na kung gusto mo 1x, 2x, 3x, whatever, na mayroon kang 1150 sa likod, kaya mo nang gawin, di ba? Yun yung malaking evolution nung mismong equipment ng gravel riding. Pero siguro yung dahil ikaw nagsimula ka matagal na sa gravel riding, ano yung nakikita mong evolution ng culture ng gravel riding? Yung mga taong nagra-ride ng gravel ba, may naiba ba or may naiba sa forma, sa style ng riding? Di ba? Yun ba yung
I think it's more of yung yung culture ng gravel riding, I think it's not, I'm sure it's changing incrementally also. Pero I think it's more of it's infecting other facets of cycling. Like, this is a gravel riding. Ang number one na sinasabi ng mga tao dyan is, you can literally go anywhere wearing whatever you want. Diba? Kasi parang chill-chill lang eh. Parang ka namasyal lang talaga. Na it really isn't about, average speed ko dito, ganyan. May segment nga pala dito. Tirahin natin. Wala eh. Talagang namamasyal lang kami. Yung tipong usapan lang. Parang, ano gagawin natin bukas? Tara, Tagaytay tayo. Sige, Tagaytay tayo. Gano'n. Padya kami, Tagaytay. Tapos, dating kami sa New Valley. Nandito rin tayo. Imbis umakit tayo, baba na tayo doon sa likod. Akitin na lang natin, baya Sampaloc. Ano mo yun, it's a very liberated style of riding. In the sense na, you could pretty much do whatever you want. Diba? Parang, yun nga, it's such a broad thing. Gravel riding is so broad. Even yung schools of thought of how you want to build your bikes, ang daming opinions eh. And I guess that's testament rin to the culture na it caters to gravel racers din, people who like racing, yung mga ultra endurance na off-road rides, like yung mga Dirty Kanza. It also caters to people who like riding yung mga cross-country, not cross-country mountain bike, pero yung they actually go across multiple countries on bikes, nagbo-bike packing sila. Or people who like, camping. So feeling ko, talaga eh, it's such a broad spectrum na it turns out na the culture, I'm not saying that it's fully evolved right now, pero siguro, it's infecting other facets of the cycling community, like mountain bikers, or roadies, ganyan na maybe the culture will also take things from those things that they're currently having its influence over. Kasi if you look at it, gravel riding is really the in-between ng mountain biking, road cycling. So you get a lot of ng road attributes ng road bike na people who ride gravel, they usually like also going huge distances. Diba? Parang road, di ba sa road, usually ganun. Either aahon ka doon sa mga matatarik na kalye or dadaanin mo sa layo. Diba? Usually ganun na road ride. Tapos sa mountain bike naman, hahanap ka ng mga lugar na technical or trailing to ride, mga single track. And parang gravel riding is in between. Na you can take your bike also in the similar trails that mountain bikers go through. You can also take it huge distances. And yun nga, yung spectrum is really so wide. So the culture feeling, I feel like the culture, not naman that it's fully matured. Feeling ko there's a lot of evolution up to it. Pero right now, I think that people are still enjoying what it currently is, yung the relaxed nature of the culture. So, hindi ko ganon na it's starting to infect the stuff around. Pero I'm sure there will be also influences from the outside, from the other facets of cycling.
At may comment si Earl Bautista. I can feel your connection sa gravel bike, sir. Totoo yung sinabi ni Sir Paco na, sino ka ba? Kasi dati, pag-usapan na, when you pick a bike, or sino ka ba? Like, anong type of riding ba yung gusto mo gawin? Ano ba yung, di ba? Before getting into it, before buying all your gear, ask yourself, sino ka ba? Anong type of riding? So, ramdam na ramdam yung love sa gravel. Pero whatever we ride, still respect pa din sa isa't isa, ano man ang trip natin na ride. So, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, parang parang ride what you can ride. Ride where you want to ride. Parang it's talaga eh, parang it's
Hindi,
more
parang,
of a personal thing.
Hindi, kasi kanina when we were talking before the show started,
Hmm.
di ba, parang eto lang, ang ano ka lang, from what we talked about earlier, what makes people gravitate towards gravel riding? Kasi di ba, ang dami ko kilala na from mountain bikes or from road bikes, biglang
Yeah.
and not just here, globally, like I attended a conference for Specialized, and they had a full session just for gravel riding. Kasi siya yung biggest segment.
Segment, yeah. I mean, even, di ba, Rafa just recently released a gravel shoe. So,
Diba?
I mean, the biggest brands in the world are actually taking notice. So, they can pretty much sense that it's not just a fad. Diba? It's something that's there to stay. And
so, yun. So, yung kanina, bakit? Ano yung difference niya? Like you were saying, sa suot, sa, diba?
Yeah, feeling ko it's more of a relaxed. It's more of the relaxed side of riding. Kasi, yun nga, mountain bikers, yung mga hardcore enduro mountain bikers, they have their own side. Yun nga, they find the most difficult trails, and they find the satisfaction in actually going down those trails, going the most difficult trails that you can find. Tapos roadies naman, some of the roadies are commonly misconstrued as people who are, yun nga, they're all about the numbers, the times, the watts, yun nga, yung mga KOMs, di ba, mga PRs, kaya they're commonly, it's more of a serious, and I mean, I know that people think that road riding, most roadies are more of the pretentious side. Pero it's really, I guess gravel riding is really yung other side nun, in the sense na sobrang relaxed lang talaga. I guess because gravel riding is so closely related also to bikepacking and cycle touring, which is pretty much, ang cycle touring, pasyal lang yan eh. Namamasyal ka lang na nakabike, nadala mo yung gamit mo eh. Yun lang yun eh. Diba? So, it's very relaxed. So, wala kang hinahabol in terms of, di kailangan ma-PR ko to, or kailangan malusot ko tong ano. It's really more of a relaxed part of yung cycling spectrum. So, I feel like people really gravitate towards that because they can just they don't have to be the strongest rider in the world, or they don't have to be the most technically proficient rider. You can just go, parang, hindi, ito lang kaya ko. Pero, diba, it's gravel riding. I'm not saying na it cannot be technical din. Pero, like I said a while ago, it caters to more of the riding that we actually do more of the time. So, parang siya yung pinaka in between ng riding. You can ride urban, you can ride light trails. I can't think of any trail in and around Manila apart from yung trail sa Patiis, which is a legit downhill trail, or sa mega trail siguro, which you can't do on a gravel bike. Parang most of the trails here you can do on a gravel bike also. So it gives you a lot of versatility. So I guess that's why people are really gravitating towards it.
I think isa sa mga appeal ng gravel riding, hindi siya nakatali sa mundo na mataas yung pressure, na tulad ng kunwari pag nag-road bike ka, syempre ang nasa isip parati ng mga tao, road bike, Tour de France, velodrome. Pag nag-mountain bike ka, depende, pwede kang may karera ng downhill, enduro, four-cross, pwede kang bumaba pa sa level ng, hindi naman bumaba, pero ibig sabihin, mas maliit na bike sa BMX racing, cross-country marathon, cross-country Olympic. Ang daming events na parang yung...
It's very performance-oriented.
Yung race...
gravel bike, talagang parang chill lang. Diba?
Yung event mismo, yung nagsha-shape ng culture nung ride mo. And pag pumunta ka sa gravel, may mga dirty kanza, may mga pero more of events yon rather than yung 2% na kasali sa event na nagre-race. So,
I mean,
merong mga
I
kasaling
remember.
gusto lang yung
Go ahead,
distance,
go ahead.
bumuo ng bike, and kapag nakakita ka ng gravel bike, dito ako natutuwa pag tumitingin ka ng gravel bike, walang isang model or standard na, ay, gravel bike yan.
Pareho.
So,
Actually,
parang
that's
pag sinabi mong kunwari,
point of argument yun.
pag sinabi mo kunwari, road bike, aero road bike, alam mo agad, more or less, meron ka na naka-deep section wheels, mga malalim yung tube,
time
tapos
machine, mga ganun.
Pero pag sinabi mong gravel bike, minsan sa parehong frame, may naka-flat bar, drop bar, bullhorn. Di ba? Kung ano yung gusto mo ilagay May bag, walang bag. Mataas yung gearing, 1x, 2x, pero gravel bike. Di ba? Yung grupo nyo, parehas lang. Di ba? May mga gravel bike na gusto nila buuin ng carbon, bahala ka. May mga steel, di ba? May mga... Pero gravel bike, gravel riding, bike touring, nandun yung walang, kumbaga may sariling flavor yung bawat rider, bawat bumubuo nung bisikleta. Kung ano yung gusto mo lagay, ilalagay mo, di ba? Walang pakilamanan, ay bawal yan, mabigat yan, or ano. Wala, di ba?
To give you an idea, if you guys can search, just to give you an idea naman, yung I remember before yung una kong glimpse into endurance ridings, my friend linked me to this video ng the name of the video is Ride the Divide. So it's about the Tour Divide. So yung race na to starts in Banff, Alberta, Canada, and ends in the Mexican border. So tatawirin mo yung buong America. So that's I think 4,400 kilometers, 4,400 plus kilometers. Tapos yung elevation gain mo parang 200,000 plus. So it's like, sabi nila, it's like climbing Mount Everest 8 times in terms of elevation. And if you look at yung lineup ng mga bikes on that race, iba-iba. May mga gravel bike, may mga rigid mountain bike, may mga full sus na naka-drop bar. It's really more of yung you ride what you want to ride. Diba? So you can go on may isang guy na naka-salsa na, ang pinaka-popular na bike doon yung salsa na cutthroat, which is a rigid, it's called a drop bar mountain bike. So it's a mountain bike that was designed to have drop bars, pero kaya mo lagyan ng, I think may version siya na hanggang 29/3 na gulong. Parang gano'n. So parang 29/3 na gulong, tapos naka-drop bar siya. Tapos some people ride legit mountain bikes. Some people ride full suspension mountain bikes. So, pero yun nga, it's a really wide spectrum. Pero I think it's the route kasi is mostly gravel. So it's kumbaga yun nga I guess that paints a good picture of the culture in the sense that ride what you want to ride. Ride what you feel like you need to ride to be able to go through that challenge. Kasi it's a very personal thing, yung setup mo ng gravel bike. These guys are not they're not slow. I mean, the record for that race is the guy, si Mike Hall, finished it I think in 13 days, 22 hours. So that's like 30 days, 22 hours. So that's like riding 300 kilometers a day for 2 weeks every day. Tapos yung elevation gain mo, yun nga, parang inakyat mo yung Mount Everest 8 times. So, tinapos niya yun in 2 weeks. So, parang these guys are actually, they're not just guys who are like parang slow folks, di ba? Na parang, hindi, relax ako. Kumbaga may ibubuga rin sila. So, yun nga, may certain parts nung, it's such a broad spectrum talaga.
Dito yung comment ni Mark Tensuan. Mark, good evening, Mark Tensuan. The nice thing about gravel riding is that there are no rules in bike setup. You can also tell if the rider has a more road or trail background. It just makes sense since it satisfies both sides of the coin.
Exactly.
Hindi, tsaka ano rin siya eh. Parang, kaya, di ba yung sabi ni Paco na pag road bike, alam mo yan, kung climbing bike, aero
Yeah.
road. Tsaka, may UCI ano yun eh. May requirements eh, di ba? May sukat lahat yan eh. Di ba? So more
Kaya
or
nga mga
less,
tri-bike, di ba, hindi UCI legal eh. Di ba?
so lahat yan, more or less, sukat lahat yan. They follow a certain set of
Rules,
specs. May rules. Kasi nga, may
To keep everything, sort of level. Di ba?
level. Pero the good thing about gravel is, meron kang, ang daming permutation ng setup eh, di ba? Ang daming, walang ano sa weight, walang ano sa geometry, walang, di ba? So, yun na nga, yun yung, I guess that's why a lot of people gravitate towards it. Kasi nga, I guess options are endless, di ba? Yung, what you can do.
I mean, I started out by converting mountain bikes into
diba?
monster cross bikes. I mean, that was a regular mountain bike frame that I slapped on drop bars for. I mean, you call that, people call that monster cross. Kasi parang, ano siya, mountain bike yung Geo, tapos mountain bike yung gulong, pero naka-drop bars ka. Alala ko, sumasali ako ng mga karera, nakaganon ako, tapos palagi ako nasisita sa finish na eh. Kasi supposedly, bawal daw ang drop bar. Tapos sa finish ako sinisita. So, drop bar pala to. Bawal ang drop bar. Tinapos ko na nga yung karera. Ngayon yung ako sisitahin. May parang ano naman yun eh. May bike check sa simula yun. So, it's such a broad spectrum. So, you can go to a fast gravel bike, something like si Ridley came up with this parang aerodynamic gravel bike, a carbon. Yeah, so that's the more performance side of the spectrum. That might be the Dirty Kanza race bike, parang ganun. Like the Salsa Warbird or yung Cannondale na gravel bike. Diba? On the other side of the spectrum is also, I mean, I guess I would consider my other bike to be part of that spectrum, yung purple ko na Velo Orange.
Alin yan? Sige, so, speaking of setting up bikes, good evening Mong Alcaraz. Makinig ka na dito dahil mukhang dito ka na papunta.
That's actually kahit ako nahihirapan akong i-classify kung ano yan. Kasi it actually has geometry that's similar to a cross-country bike, but it's not suspension corrected. So if you look at the fork bike, CU fork, diba usually ang mga mountain bike, mahaba ang fork. Kasi that's for suspension correction. So pag yung fork mo sa mountain bike, example, is 100 mm long, the frame has to account for that. Unlike this one, it was really meant to be used without suspension. So it's not suspension corrected. So it sort of looks like a gravel bike, but it takes tires up to 29 by 2.8. Really huge tires. Pero it was designed also to be used mainly with drop bars. So I guess this is one of those bikes that sort of blurs the lines between mountain bikes and gravel bikes. Kasi, I mean, the crank that you have to use on that bike is para sa mountain bike because it has a 73 mm bottom bracket. So you actually cannot put a crank set made for road or gravel bike. It has to be a mountain bike crank. Pero it was meant to be used mostly with drop bars. And drop bars are not really designed to shift with mountain bike components, diba? So it's really an in-between bike in the sense na talaga ikaw magsiset-up kung paano mo siya gustong itayo. So the reason why I wanted this bike is I wanted a bike that looked as much as like a road bike as possible, but would take the fucking biggest tires that you could put on it. And that's a 29 by 2.6 inch tire, which is practically a 29 plus tire. Pero yun nga, naka-drop bars ako. So, pag pag nakikita ng mga tao yan, parang, ano ba yan, di ba? Parang lahat sila parang kaabot, parang, ano yung bike na yan? Di ba? Parang hindi lang maintindihan. Pero it was more of built for the purpose in the sense na I built this as my heavy touring bike na can go off-road if I wanted to. Kasi it has chunky tires.
But parang may alam tong si Ma'am Pamela Angeles. Dami na nabudol sa bike na yan.
Yan si
Parang
Pam.
yan.
Si Pam and si Patoys, they actually own bikery lifestyle or something. Basta they sell Brooks saddles and bags from Caradis. Mostly mga stuff for bikepacking. Si Pam, kapitbahay ko kasi yan. Palagi ko kinukulit.
O sige, Miss Pam, paki-comment yung shop para ma-promote na rin natin yan.
Yan, bikery tsaka slow Moes culture yung ano.
Yan, slow Moes culture tsaka
feeling ko they really feel that niche in the market for you can order kala slow Moes, you can order customize the bikepacking bags. If you want bags to a different color, ganyan, you can order customized na parts. Example, all components. If you want a stem that's anodized to a certain color, kaya nilang gawin yun. Custom wheel builds. Sila Pam naman, they carry Brooks, they carry Caradis, the bags, mostly mga gamit for bicycle touring.
Sige, flash lang natin. And these, how do people find them? Dito lang, Facebook?
They're on Instagram or Facebook. They're on Instagram or Facebook.
Ayan, sabi ni Miss Pam, kapag naghahanap kayo ng paggagastosan, ayan.
Yan.
Bikery
Pag gusto nyo maubos sila manuwalit nyo, yan. Tawagan nyo sila. Mabilis lang yan.
Eto, si Mong Alcaraz daw gusto ng road bike na full sus from Johnston Ong. Ayos Eto si Mong, konti na lang naka-gravel bike na to eh. Sabi niya before the end of the year, pero feeling ko mga June naka-gravel bike na to.
Malapit-lapit na yun June, wala ka ng 2 buwan yun.
Oo.
No, pero actually ako, I used to have a lot of bikes. I used to have like 8 or 9 bikes. Pero ayoko kasi meron akong bike na hindi ko nagagamit. Gusto ko yung na-utilize ko yung mga bike. So, I actually trimmed down my lineup of bikes. So, I sold a lot of stuff that I wasn't using. So, I just kept 3 bikes. So, feeling ko naman yung 3 bikes na yun, they cover a lot of, pretty much all of the riding that I do. And yun nga, if ever bibili ako ng isa pang bike, ang pangarap ko kasi talaga gusto ko ng custom na made-to-measure na boutique bike. Pero
yung tayo ni Paco.
Baka bumili ng gravel bike.
Bumili na. Nag-message na kayo, Miss Pam.
Nag-message na, kailangan ko ng ganito. Yeah.
Ito na. Mamaya na ako babalik doon. Oh, Off-Kilter. Good evening, guys.
Off-Kilter si Cyril. Cyril si Erin. Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah, I actually ride with them a lot. Maganda yung bago nilang jersey.
Oo nga, actually, ano bang bagong jersey? Nakita ko yun kakapost lang ni Cyril.
Well, they made this jersey, which is more of, kasi usually cycling jerseys are yung usual na zip up, di ba? Masikip, tapos may pocket sa likod. They came up with this jersey for mostly, parang gravel riding, parang touring. So, it's a more relaxed style of jersey. It's just a shirt na parang 3/4.
Okay.
And it feels, it's pretty tight around the arms or around the chest, pero mas relaxed yung fit niya. So, parang t-shirt lang siya. So, it's actually very nice to use. You can actually use it kahit example, nagko-commute ka around the city, kung haharap ka sa whoever client, at least hindi ka naka-jersey na gano'n. Pero ang maganda is they did not do away with the practicality of having pockets.
Pockets, yes.
So kahit medyo maluwag yung on the looser side yung jersey, may bulsa pa rin siya sa likod. So you still have the functionality of you want to put, example, if you're commuting around the city, you want to put your wallet there, or I don't know, kasi yung pockets are covered eh. So hindi parang pocket ng bike jersey yung nakabukas lang. Yung kanila may takip eh. So I guess it's a lot safer to put some valuables there as compared to, di ba, dami na nanakawan dun sa may Marcos, Antipolo, ganyan. Kasi
So may
nadudukot
sumulong.
to sa likod, di ba?
Oo.
Eh, sa kanila may takip yung pocket. So, mas ano. And it's a really nice jersey. It's very light. Tapos SPF 50 pa ata siya. So, it's sa UV light. Tsaka, syempre, support local tayo.
Oh, and this is available. Sino ba nag-handle na account? Ayan.
Yan, sa kanila, meron silang IG sila.
Ito. Yan. Paki-follow, check out Off Kilter on Instagram and Facebook for the jerseys. And marami silang stuff eh. So,
yeah, actually, maganda yung stuff of Kilter. Favorite kong jersey nila dati yung Tour de Beer. Yung nakalagay Tour de Beer Manila.
Tour de Beer, oo.
Kasi may event sila yung Tour de Beer, yung nagbabike sila to multiple bars, tapos 1 beer per bar.
1 beer per bar. Baka hindi na ako, hindi ko natatapusin yun.
Ako, first bar pa lang, parang okay na tayo dito, di ba?
Steady na to, di ba?
Bakit na, di ba? Ganun na lang eh.
Ayan.
Yan.
So it's available at Altair Cyclery, locally and online for international orders. So pwede, they can ship abroad.
Abot dito.
Ayan, si Paco.
Portugal. Abot daw yan.
Sila yan sa Dubai, si Steve sa Spain. Ayan. Si Rai daw, anong masarap na kape pag nag-tour, sir?
Rai, alam mo naman hindi nga ako nagkakape. Beer lang tayo, Brad. Puro beer lang tayo.
Carbs din yun. Okay yun.
Kailangan mo energy. Pero, pansin ko yung mga kaibigan ko na nagtutour, madalas may dala silang cook set, tapos they like brewing coffee outside. So, example, pag nag-ride sila sa Cordillera, they just pull over sa side na road. Parang, kape muna tayo. Nagbo-brew sila ng kape doon. Yun na, ako kasi hindi ako nagkakape. Ganun eh. Puro beer na lang tayo.
Nakita ko sila Mong, ganyan yung huling ride ni Mong. Ganyan. So,
coffee outside, no? Coffee
outside, oo.
Yeah.
Solid.
Actually, solid naman yun.
Tsaka ito si Mong konti, June, feeling ko. Pupusta ako June. Kasi Mong,
patapos na April.
1 bike a month yun eh. So, sakto. By June, may bagong bike yan.
Hindi pa. Actually, ako lang natutuwa rin ako sa gravel riding / bikepacking, touring. Ang daming abubot. Alam mo, yung kung gusto mo ng bagong bag or gusto mo ng ilaw, dynamo. Parang it's really, gets ko naman yung ibang side ng spectrum na, hindi, kailangan magaan yung bike. Cranks ko, yung binili kong cranks. Mas magaan to ng 5 grams kaysa dun sa nakakamit sa akin. Alam mo yun, yes, there's that side. Pero parang minsan kami nakaaliw na kami, okay yung ilaw mo, no? Pwede rin mag-charge ng ganito. Alam mo yun, sabi ko nga sa'yo, mga upgrade namin, puro pabigat. Hindi kami pagaan mag-upgrade. Kaya yung mga pinakasagad na bike sa amin, malamang yun yung mga pinaka-mabibigat.
Ito from Chris Ang, favorite mode of storage on the bike? Bar bag, hip bag, saddle bag, down tube bag. Ayan, pa ako yung handlebar bag mo.
Ako handlebar bag ako. I like handlebar bags. Kasi it's very convenient. So, nandun yung gamit mo, it's directly in front of you. Okay rin yung saddle bag. Kasi yun nga, malapit lang siya, nasa upuan lang. Pero, nagkaka-experience kasi ako dati nung maahon ako ng Teresa. May mga batang tumatakbo sa tabi ko, tapos binubuksan na pala nila yung saddle bag ko. Alam mo yun, kasi hindi mo kita, nasa likod mo eh. And, if you're actually carrying something heavy from experience, mas maganda to load it in the front. Kasi hawak mo yung weight with your hands steering as compared to having it in the back. I experienced this firsthand yung unang nag-Baguio to Sagada ka. Medyo rushed yung preparation ko doon. So, they just lent me a saddle bag na lalagay ko sa likod. What I noticed was, pag mabigat yung rear ng bike mo, pag tumayo ka for climbs, di ba? Pag tatayo ka, medyo sinaside to side mo yung bike mo na gano'n. Yung weight sa likod ng bike mo, pag ginanon mo, parang siyang pendulum. So, parang gusto kang isemplang ng bike mo. As compared to pag yung weight nasa harap, pag hawak mo yung weight with your steering, kumbaga you have more control over where you want to put the weight. Kaya ako, I would always prefer having the weighted parts of the bike up front. Tapos siguro, I just have a small saddle bag in the back. Like, nung nag-Japan tour kami, I had 2 panniers na small, which were mounted on the fork. Tapos meron ako maliit na handlebar bag for wallet, phone. Tapos I had a saddle bag sa likod. Pero that was more or less for extra kong tsinelas, sleeping bag. Alam mo yun, things that I could actually just leave on the bike. Pero the more heavy stuff, I mounted it on the fork kasi I wanted to have control over that weight. At least pag tumayo ka, pag sa climb, pag sinide to side mo yung bike mo, when you rock it side to side, you have the weight in your hands kasi it's directly under your handlebar. As compared to sa likod, parang sumusunod lang siya sa bike. So, pag nag-pendulum yun, feeling mo, yung side-to-side motion ng likod, feeling mo isisemplang ka ng bike. So, I prefer loading up front.
Mas may control ka para...
Yeah. Kasi it's on the axis that you're steering also.
Si Paco naman daw magkwento. Tahimik mo daw, Paco.
Sabi ni Kiko, ano ka daw? Ang lakas mo daw, bro.
Malakas talaga yan. Kahit naka road bike ako tapos naka fully loaded gravel bike yan, mauna pa sa akin yung paakyat, no? May iwan pa rin ako dyan.
Just to give you an idea pala how heavy. I mean, ako, like, yung purple ko na bike, I've done that route a couple of times. Panawe, Sagada, Baguio. So that's more or less for us, that's like a 3-day tour. You have provisions for 3 days. Yung purple ko na bike, it's definitely not a light bike. It's around, I think, 15 kilos. 14 to 15. So it's around 35, 36 pounds. Pero with the weight of the stuff that we bring, I remember the last time I did that tour, I weighed my bike at around 55 to 56 pounds. So imagine you're riding a bike that's that heavy. And yun nga rin yung argument ko na sinasabi ko from the start. That's where you need the range of your gearing. You need a gear low enough that you'll be able to pedal a bike that heavy up a climb that's pretty steep. Diba? So, I mean, after a while naman you get used to the weight. After a while your body you get used to how heavy the bike is. Pero it doesn't make it that much easier. Lalo na if the climb na akitin mo is like 28-30 kilometers long. Tapos ganun kabigat yung bike mo. Mahirap yun. So that's another argument towards a wide range na gearing.
Sagutin muna natin tong question ni Kyle Lee.
Natatakot ako sa mga nagtatanong kasi baka mga kilala ko lang to na nangaasar lang.
Hindi, ito mukhang seryoso yung tanong naman niya. Hello, good evening. May question lang ako about long rides. Maraming instances na kapag tanghaling tapat, sumasakit yung ulo ko like it's throbbing. Ang ginagawa ko lang is rest and drink lots of fluids. Is there a way para maiwasan yung ganon? Energy bars? Ayan.
Well, you guys are roadies and you guys
Ikaw pa ako.
ride long distances over whatever time. I mean, kami sa Odax, ang ginagawa lang namin is constant fueling. In the sense na at least every 25 kilometers, kumain ka ng fudgy bar or Cloud9, tapos kung nag-down ka ng isang Pocari Sweat, just make sure that you're properly hydrated.
The feeling ko, ang ano na to.
Diba?
Oh, hindi, tama naman. Pero yung ano niya, feeling ko, late niya tinitake yung... Kasi dapat hindi na umaabot na sumasakit yung ulo mo pag properly hydrated ka or proper yung nutrition mo. So, tama yung sabi tama yun na parang yung Odax na may orasan mo, yung regular yung intake mo ng fluids, ng nutrition mo. Huwag mo na hintayin na
sabi nga nila pag umabot doon sa point na nagutom ka na, that's too late.
Yes, too late na yun. Wala
Huwag
naman
mong papaabutin doon sa part na mauhaw ka or magutom ka.
Yes.
So, schedule mo na lang yung inom. Kaya parang kahit ayaw mo pa uminom,
kahit konti lang.
Yes. O kahit konti lang, matikman mo lang yung tubig or whatever. And actually, laking bagay. I mean, there were a few instances na nag-Odax ako na I was riding with this guy na si Ryan Ignacio, and we just met on the course.
Oh,
and si Ryan, yun. I just met him on the course kasi parang nag-Odax 300 kami nun. Tapos nakita kami sa gasolinahan. I didn't know him. Pero he was riding alone. Tapos may sag siya. Tapos sabi ko parang, bro, Odax ka rin ba? Kaya, oo. Sabi ko, pare, pwede bang sabay na lang tayo mag-ride? Kasi ang lungkot ko na, pare. Naka 180 kilometers na ako. All at mag-isa eh. Sabi, tatanungin nga rin sana kita kung gusto mo. Sabay na lang tayo kasi nasira na yung ulo ko eh. So meron siyang sag, tapos may Gatorade siya, may food. And he really knew how to properly feed himself in terms of yung intake ng food. So may kakain kami like every 25 kilometers. Like that's more or less every hour kain kami. Tapos it just felt like we were fueled properly towards it. Kaya medyo maganda oras namin. And then there was this time na I did the 200 na andun na kami sa 150 point. Tapos naisip ko, kasi may lugawan dun eh, di ba? Tapos parang, hindi, okay lang yan, kaya na natin. Huling 50 na lang eh. Tapos in that was probably the hardest 50 kilometers I've ever biked. Kasi nag-bonk na ako noon. Tapos parang in the 50 kilometers nila, parang 5 beses ako nag-cramps. So I felt like, kasi naisip ko noong time na 50 na lang yan, kaya na natin tapusin yan. We were at pace to do like 8 hours or a little lower than 8 hours to 200. Pero dahil sa dami ng tigil namin, parang naging 10 hours. Pero kasi nagka-crabs kami, tapos higa kami sa gilid ng kalye, barat kami ng Pocari. So I guess just never get to that point where you actually feel hungry or thirsty. Kasi if you get to that point, that's actually too late. Dapat constant yung fueling.
Yan. O pa ako, anong pro tip natin dyan sa nutrition?
Actually, sabi nga ni Earl, di ba? Ito, pinost natin to a few weeks ago tungkol sa yung basic ng nutrition and fueling actually sa pag nagra-ride ka. So, technically ako, ang parati ko lang sinasabi, technically dapat umiinom ka every 10 to 15 minutes. Isang sip ng, ako ang ginagawa ko, after 1 hour, iinom ka na ng electrolytes. Isang sip ng electrolytes, isang sip ng tubig, tapos 10 to 15 minutes ulit, inom ka ulit. Pag naubos, eventually maubos yan eh. Kung matagal yung ride mo or mahaba yung distance na ginagawa mo, darating ka sa point na maubos talaga yan. Unless sobrang laki ng bote mo na kaya yung more than 3 hours. Nawala naman siguro kailan, di ba? 3 litro na bote.
Pare, sa bike packing, may mga bote na 2 litro. Baka yun ang kailangan.
Ayun. So pag naubos, usually, ang ginagawa namin, pag naubos, bili ka lang ulit ng tubig or hanap ka ng pwedeng mag-refill. Tapos go ka ulit. Kasi, yun nga, tama yung sinasabi ni Pao kanina na once na nag-bonk ka, tapos na lahat.
Tapos
Wala na yun eh. No
Wala na.
turning back.
Tapos na, oo.
Hindi mo na re-recover yun. Actually, dito nga, I mean, sobrang swerte nga natin na I see a lot of people who carry a lot of naka-hydration pack, daming bote, na actually, if you plan your ride properly, ang dami na, doon sa rides we more or less do, ang dami mo namang mabibila ng tubig, ng Gatorade, ng ano.
Yep.
Kaya ako nung natuto ako nun, hindi na ako nagdala ng hydration pack. Isang bote lang ako. Tapos, siyempre, when you, I actually keep my bottle for emergencies lang. Pag may point where I can actually buy a drink that's cold, I'd rather buy, and then I just keep the water in my bottle for emergencies, for the time when I actually feel thirsty, na wala akong mabilan. Example, pag umaahon ka ng sungay, wala naman masyadong bilihan ng tubig dun. O hindi dun mo itago yung
Yes.
bote mo. Pero pag sa baba, o may madadaan ka 7-Eleven, may madadaan ka tindahan, o hindi, mag-Coke ka or Gatorade ka. So, I guess it's ano rin eh, parang smart refueling eh. And what from personal experience, pag naka-hydration pack ka, that's a lot of weight on your body. And carrying that weight around is ano, kumbaga, it's a drain on your energy. So, if you can actually just buy water somewhere else or buy a drink somewhere else and then have enough water to be parang emergency na lang on your bike, just keep 2 bottle cages, 2 bote na just keep it topped up with water for emergencies. Tapos yung regular fueling mo, if every 20-25 kilometers, you can stop, may 7-Eleven tayo, inom muna tayo dito. That seems like a very efficient way of fueling. Tapos you're not weighed down by the entire weight of the water that you actually have to bring. I mean, diba, what ride do you have to do na you have to bring your entire supply of water from start to finish? Mostly sa rides naman na ginagawa natin dito around Metro Manila, hindi mo naman kailangan. Tapos pag nag-share loop ka, akit ka hanggang radar. Siyempre sa radar, inom ka muna ng Gatorade, di ba? Well, you don't have to bring your entire water supply for the entire share loop.
So maraming option talaga
balance eh. Oo, maraming options. It's balancing it eh. Na take with you what you need for emergencies, pero you can fuel sa side rin naman ng road para hindi ka naman hindered by sobrang dami mo dalang tubig. Kasi actually, ang tubig, ang bigat mo. Pag tinimbang mo sa katawan mo yun, di ba? That's a huge drain on your effort.
Tsaka hindi siya komportable.
Hindi. Pag may hydration pa, init sa likod, di ba?
Mainit yun.
Tapos iniinom mong tubig, ang init pa. O hindi, di ba? Sarap uminom ng malamig, di ba? Pero, syempre, pag hirap ka na, malamig o mainit, inumin mo na lang yan. Eh. So, yung mainit na tubig, itabi mo na lang for those instances na kailangan mo talaga. Pero kung gusto mo mag-fuel from the side of the road, I don't think there's any problem with that.
Wow. Well, to Ed Glipa, 43 days on the road, 500 ml bottle lang gamit ko. Super daming 7-Eleven at karinderya sa Pinas. Yung water bottle ko, pagdating ko ng Davao, medyo lasang lumot na.
Well, kasalanan mo yan kasi hindi ka naglilinis ng bote.
Grabe yung 40. Ano to? Philippine Loop? 43 days? Ano ba? Anong ride yan, sir?
Parang ano yun parang nawala ka sa disyerto yan.
Oo. Eto, Ray Reyes. Pag umulan ng malakas, continue biking o find shelter?
Honestly, I hate biking in the rain. Parang feeling ko sobrang miserable kasi. Pero, it's a good experience then for you to actually push on in the rain. Kasi ano rin yun or parang, kumbaga, character building yun Kasi, the mere fact na sobrang miserable ng pakiramdam mo, pero you feel like you have to take yourself home or you have to finish the ride. Kaya mong gawin yun.
Magagalit yung Velominati, rule number 9, di ba?
Hindi,
Pero may araw,
if I can share a story, like there was this time na nagbanawi to Sagada kami. Banawi to Baguio kami. Na yung first day, sarap. So, Banawi, Sagada, ganda. Lamig, pero may sunshine. Ganyan. Tapos yung second day, nag-start na siyang umulan. Pero light rain lang. Nakarating kami dun sa destination namin. Pare yung, well, tigas din ang ulo namin kasi tinuloy namin yung tour kahit may bagyo. Pero inabutan kami ng bagyo dun sa longest day namin, which is around 84 kilometers, which is from Abatan to Baguio. Ano talagang feeling ko nun ride for survival. Yun yung ride na yung hindi na siya masaya. Kasi ang lakas ng hangin, ang lakas ng ulan, tapos ang kapal ng fog, na wala kang makita. Siguro yung visibility mo is less than 5 meters ahead of you. Tapos sobrang lakas ng ulan, sobrang drenched ka, na pag nagpalit ka ng damit, pointless din. Kasi mababasa lang siya ulit. So parang titiisin mo na lang na pumadyak ng basa ka, na umuulan. Tapos ang temperature at that time, because I think that was late February. So medyo malamig pa. That temperature at that time, kahit tanghaling tapat, was around 12 to 13 degrees. Tapos you were riding, soaking wet, in a storm, in the fog. So kami talaga noong time na yun, hindi na kami natutuwa. Talagang parang ride for survival na. Hindi ka pwede magpahinga. Kasi pag nagpahinga ka, yung init ng katawan mo, mawawala.
wala.
Mag-shiver ka naman. So kailangan tumuloy-tuloy ka. Kaya lang, pag umaahon ka na, parang 4 na oras ka nang umaahon, syempre kailangan naman tumigil ka, di ba? Kasi mababaliw ka na, pagod ka na eh. So, I guess, as much as you don't want to do it, I guess be prepared na lang to have to do it. Kasi there might be instances in the ride where you actually have to do it. Like at that time, hindi naman kami pwedeng tumigil na lang dun. Kasi wala naman kami tutulugan. Kasi kailangan namin umuwi. Ang exit points mo lang naman pag nasa Cordillera ka, sa route na yun is either Sagada or Baguio. Doon ka lang makakakuha ng ride pa uwi ng Manila. So anything in between, you actually have to get yourself to the next waypoint. So parang ride for survival talaga siya. Kailangan iuwi mo yung sarili.
Why?
Medyo malungkot yun, pare. As in, nagyuyosi kami nun sa tabi ng tapos nanginginig yung mga kamay namin. Tapos sabi, pare, ba't pa tayo nagpapahinga? Lumalamig yung katawan natin. Parang ganun. Sobrang adventure style na talaga.
Pero magandang experience din. Pero tama yun, may rides talaga na ulan na hindi talaga sulit.
Kailangan eh. De, pero actually ako, the mere fact na nagawa ko nun, even if I don't like riding in the rain, pag inabutan ako ng ulan somewhere, inisip ko, nabuhay nga ako. Bumabagyo dun sa Sagada, sobrang lamig, ma-hypothermia na kami, hindi kami makabili ng pagkain. Diba? Parang ano talaga siya eh. When you're faced with that kind of situation, you sort of look back on the things that you've already done before. So, we were faced with the same situation nung nasa Japan kami. We were going into Nagoya from Kyoto. Tapos, inulan din kami ng ganun. Ganun din, ride for survival din. Tapos, naisip lang namin parang, ginawa ko na to dati, kaya-kaya. It wasn't comfortable, pero at least, you know, in the back of your pocket na parang, kaya kong gawin.
Ito, from, Mako, Tuan.
Mako, taga-Aklan yan.
Sir Pao, kayo ba yung KOM sa Sagada? Ayop.
Hindi. KOM ako dun sa part na pababa kasi hindi kailangan pumadyak. Pag sa padyakan, dulo ko dun. Pero yung pababa, lalaban tayo sa KOM basta walang padyakan. So, syempre, bigat ng dala mo, di ba? Bilis ng bisikleta mo, pag binitaw mo yung preno eh. Di ba?
Ano ito? Sydney Luzen.
Yan, si Sid is actually legit part ng legit si Sid is one of the 3 founding members ng slow Moes culture.
Ayan.
Ano po
Trick
take
question
nyo sa
ba to?
mga hindi. I mean, that's a bit of a contentious part kasi there are people who say na yung mga MTB na ginawang gravel bike, hindi naman daw legit gravel bike. Iba naman nagsasabi na, yes, legit gravel bike. I think kasi because gravel biking is it's such a broad topic. The bikes that populate the gravel bike spectrum also fall into certain different categories. So, yung mga MTB na ginagawang gravel bike, for me, they fall more into the quote-unquote monster cross spectrum. It's a mountain bike that you turn into a gravel bike. Actually, para sa akin, medyo compromised yung mountain bike na gagawin mong gravel bike. Like you put drop bars on a mountain bike. That's just for me. I mean, I'm not saying that that's how it is. Kasi ang mountain bike, it was made with a very long, effective top tube, di ba? Kasi meant siya to be used with flat bars. Di ba ang road bike, maiksi yung effective top tube niya kasi ina-assume niya na naka-drop bar ka. So, lalayo pa yung kamay.
Mas malayo.
Oo. So, for you to actually convert a mountain bike into something that you will put drop bars on, it's either you have to size down the frame. So, if you regularly ride like a medium, you get a small so that your effective top tube shrinks a bit. Or you use a very short stem that medyo fucks up your handling, diba? You guys as roadies should know na
Magagalit si Paco niyan.
no,
Paco,
diba,
short stem daw, short stem.
No, diba, you guys as roadies should know na a drop bars with a short stem, they don't really work very well, diba? It makes the handling super nervous, diba? Kasi kailangan patayin mo yung pagka-nervous ng handling ng bike, haba ang yung stem. So, I mean, people do it, and I mean, hindi naman siya bawal. Pero ako personally, coming from someone who's done it before, I would just start with a legit gravel bike as compared to building up something that's actually sort of compromised. And you're gonna be spending the same amount of money. Diba? So parang, why not spend that money to something towards something that you really, really want to achieve. I mean, if you really want to build, like, go out and drop bar mountain bike, then fine, diba? I mean, there are drop bar mountain bikes out there. Like, the Salsa Fargo is actually a drop bar mountain bike. If you look at the Salsa website, hindi siya considered quote-unquote gravel bike. Ano siya? Mountain bike siya, meant to be used with drop bars. Pero if you get like a regular mountain bike, something with a long effective top tube, tapos lalagyan mo ng drop bars, it's either you have some kind of physique na ang haba ng arms mo pero ang liit ng legs mo, or yun nga, medyo compromised yung build in sense sa sobrang iksi ng stem, tapos ang haba ng seat post mo. So it's a bit of a compromise, and people do it. Pero I personally would opt for something that was built more towards building a bike that way. Like yung Tulip, it looks like a mountain bike, pero it was meant to work with drop bars.
So pag sinabi
Marami nag-ouch.
Oo nga, marami.
I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I've done it also. I built up a Salsa El Mariachi, which is a mountain bike, a steel rigid mountain bike. I put drop bars on it. So I'm not someone who hasn't done it before. Pero from someone who's moved from that to something that is actually designed to use drop bars, it's totally different. I mean, yes, you can manipulate the geometry in the sense na some people say kasi na parang hindi, ganito naman dahil maiksi yung step ko. So yung measurement nung tip of yung saddle ko to yung handlebar ko is the same as ganyan. Yes, pero what about that point where your fork actually pivots like yung steerer tube? Siyempre, iba yun. Mas malapit dun sa handlebar yun. So, iba yung handling, iba yung geometry. Actually, ang number one pet peeve ko dyan, yung mga nagkakabit ng non-suspension corrected forks sa suspension corrected na bikes. So, imagine
Ulit. Wala kami.
Hindi, ganito. Kasi, non-suspension corrected forks are usually shorter. So these are forks that are used on road bikes, legit gravel bikes. So maiksi siya, di ba?
Okay.
Tapos ikakabit mo siya sa mountain bike. To give you an idea, I have this bike. It's a 9er na Sir 9. Yun, yung single speed ko na bike. The axle to crown, yung haba niya, yan. Yung haba ng axle to crown niyan is 470 mm, something like that. A normal gravel, yung fork ng Midnight Special ko is only 400 mm. So, pang gravel bike. So, kasi nga, the Midnight Special was not meant to account for suspension. So, ang ginagawa ng iba, nagkakabit sila ng non-suspension corrected fork sa suspension corrected na bike. So example, if ikakabit ko yung 400 mm long ko na fork dyan sa bike which was designed to run a 470 mm fork, your front suddenly drops 70 mm. So yung BB mo bumabagsak, yung rake do fork mo pumapasok. Alam mo yun, it wasn't designed to be that way. So parang it fucks up the geometry. So sa akin, if you want to turn your mountain bike into a gravel bike, tapos you want to run a rigid fork, sukatin niyo yung axle to crown. So yung axle to crown nung suspension fork, kailangan ganun din kahaba yung axle to crown nung rigid fork na ikakabit niyo. Para yung handling stays consistent. It doesn't change the functionality of the bike. Kasi iba dyan, I remember may mga Linsky na mountain bike frames. So, kinakabitan nila ng Linsky na road bike fork. So, sobrang pumabagsak yung harap ng bike. Tapos, pumapasok yung gulong. It just looks, it looks like it wouldn't handle properly. So, ang sinasabi ko nga na these manufacturers spend millions actually researching the geometry of the bike. There is a reason why it was built that way. So siguro merong parameters na pwede mong i-tweak. Pero if you go totally against that, it might be better for you to actually build on something that was legit made for that.
Papa ko, nakakasunod ka pa ba?
So in summary, bukod sa tanong mo, yung tanong natin usually sa mga gustong bumili ng bike and kung paano nila i-approach yung pagbili ng bike. Ang tinatanong natin sa kanila, sino ka ba? Di ba? Ngayon, dadagdagan mo lang ng saan ka ba pupunta at anong ride yung gagawin mo. Di ba?
Kasi saan ka pupunta and ano gusto mong gawin.
Kasi tulad niyan, I suppose yung pagka in between nung gravel riding. Kapag pumunta ka sa road, mas mabilis yung road bike. Pag pumunta ka sa trail, mas mabilis yung mountain bike. Depende sa trail, pero kung technical na trail, mas mabilis talaga yung pure na mountain bike, full sus or hardtail, whatever. Pero kaya ka nag-gravel, parang gusto mo ng something in between.
In between.
Na yun nga yung nabanggit mo kanina yung sinasabi nila, jack of all trades. Pero actually yung kabuuan ng kasabihan na yon, yung a jack of all trades, master of none, pero most often better than master of one.
Exactly.
So kung mag-gravel ka, I'm sure wala sa mindset ng mga bumubuo ng gravel bike yung sa ngayon yung talagang mayroon silang gravel event na race na gusto nilang puntahan at talagang upakan ng mabilis. 'Di ba? Yun yung kasi usually pag bumuo ka ng road bike, meron kang event na nasa isip mo na okay, sali ako sa crit or sa road race. Nasa calculation mo na agad yung ano ba yung ruta? Ano ba yung klaseng riding na gagawin namin? So kung road race, mabilis na road race, mabilis na road bike yung kailangan mo.
Kung
Pagpunta
flat ba to o kung ahon, di ba, mga ganun.
Pumunta ka sa mountain bike, gaano ka technical yung trail? Kailangan ko ba ng full SUS? Kailangan ko ba ng dropper post? Ano yung fork na gagamitin ko? 100 mm travel, 120, 180, whatever. Pero pag pumunta ka ng gravel bike, kasama pa rin yung calculations na yon. Pero hindi ganun kumbaga, hindi ka bubuo ng gravel bike para lang sa trail. Hindi ka bubuo ng gravel bike para lang sa road. Kaya ka bumuo ng gravel bike kasi may gusto kang daanan na kung road bike lang yung dala mo, limited ka. And kung mountain bike lang yung dala mo, limited ka rin. So kaya mo dadalhin yung gravel bike. 'Di ba? And from there, tingin ko, yung pagbuo mo ng gravel bike sa ganong klaseng mindset, doon na mabubukas yung pintuan ng buong mundo ng gravel bike na okay, pwede ako mag-touring, pwede akong dumaan papunta dito sa ahon na to, pero kung road bike yung dala ko, hindi ko ma-access yung daan kasi kailangan ko dumaan sa trail na medyo technical, hindi kaya ng road bike. So kaya ka naka-gravel. And yung mga ganong...
Actually, yun yung feeling ko yun yung advantage and disadvantage also ng gravel bike. In the sense na you can build pretty much whatever you want. Pero yung disadvantage is, yun nga, you can build pretty much whatever you want. Nakakalito, di ba?
Nakakalito.
Parang, hindi mo alam kung paano mo itatayo. Like, parang sa akin, my two builds that you guys showed are super different. May isa na mas road-oriented, di ba? 700C, naka-deep wheels, pero nakatamag gulong. Yung gearing niya, mas matangkad. Pero yung isa naman, yun mas geared towards trail riding, adventure riding, ganyan. Pero there are certain, parang may mga lugar akong napuntahan dun sa purple ko na bike na mas mabilis siya dun sa bike ko na puti. Pero actually, parang dapat mas mabilis yung bike ko na puti. Parang climb yun, na parang, mas mabilis ako dito sa bike na mabigat. Pero actually, parang dapat mas mabilis ako dun sa puti. So parang, I guess it's so broad. It's such a broad topic na parang ano lang yan talaga make it your own. So, it's such a broad topic na you don't have to adhere to any sort of construct. You really build what you feel like is most comfortable to you. Pero ako, yes, I'm down for building what is most comfortable to you. Pero stay within what is example, if you have a bike na example ito, yung early na midnight special, hindi mo naman kakabitan ng 120 mm na fork to, di ba? Kasi road bike to eh. Kumbaga, stay within, or just if you're gonna deviate from what the manufacturer actually recommends, don't deviate too far. Kasi iba, parang pansin ko rin yung iba nagtatayo na lang ng ganitong klaseng bike para lang maiba sila eh. Yung parang makatawag lang ng pansin, papasikat na lang. Pero actually parang mali na eh. Diba? I mean, you still have to build something that is somewhat aligned to what the end purpose of the bike was built for. So, parang hindi ko naman sa kinakahon yung mga tao na parang hindi kailangan ganito yung. Pero I guess that's just something to be guided para hindi rin masayang yung gamit niyo. Kasi there comes a point na saan kung magtatayo ka ng ganitong bike, tapos sasalpakan mo ng ganyan, masasayang lang din yung pera mo. Kasi hindi naman siya magpa-function the way it should function. Kasi parang sayang yung build. Parang if ganun lang din yung gusto mo, sana nag-build ka na ng ibang bike.
Pero safe ba to say, like, kasi nga, parang sabi nyo nga, yung road bike, may specific siya eh. Mountain bike, parang na-define mo na yung function ng bike mountain bike, road bike. Since yung gravel, it's in between. Tama ba na yung iba parang pipilitin mo na lang yung pipilitin mo yung build na gawin niya lahat ng gusto mo gawin. Pero in reality, imposible mo namang sa lahat ng, di ba?
Yes.
Tama ba? Gets mo ba yung...
Gets ko yung point mo na parang there will always be compromises to whatever you will make. Diba? Like, yung bike ko na purple, it will never be as fast as yung bike ko na puti. Kasi yung gearing niya kulang, mataba yung gulong, di ba? Mabigat siya. So, I guess, doon pumapasok yung, I mean, let's face it, marami namang tao dyan na hindi lang isa yung bike. Diba? If you wanna utilize your fleet, I guess you just have to build bikes that do not overlap as much. Diba? Parang be smart about how you build your fleet. So don't build, parang if you want to have the best utilization, don't build two bikes that do the same thing. Diba?
Yes.
Do something na parang, yung bike ko na puti, I built that more towards gravel riding, road riding. Fast road riding, gravel riding na mabilis. Yun na siya sa mas mabilis sa spectrum. Isa kong bike, mas mabigat siya, o sige, yun yung more towards parang off-road, technical trails, kasi it handles like a mountain bike. I can carry more stuff. So, dun siya sa mas mabagal na side ng spectrum. So, parang gano'n na lang yun eh. I mean, if you have to build just one bike, I mean, let's face it, it's gonna be compromised one way or another. Kasi there's not one bike naman that can actually do all things 100% well. Diba? I mean, even the most expensive mountain bikes, you would expect, example, yung mga specialized na S-Works, yung mga sagad, diba? That's probably the best mountain bike you can buy. Pero pag linagay mo sa kalye yan, iwanan ng simple road bike yan, diba? So it's for me, it's really about finding the middle ground in what you actually want to do or what you want to achieve on the bike. So if you want something
Sorry, go.
Go ahead.
Then, tsaka minsan yung iba parang on the flip side, hindi. You have your bike, you built your one bike. Yung iba kasi pipilitin pa na, alam mo namang hindi siya pang, kunyari, nag-build ka ng gantong gravel bike na alam mo namang hindi naman siya pang trail na...
Yes. Oh.
Alam mo yun, wag na natin pilitin pa na...
Hindi naman siya pang technical trail, di ba? O, hindi mo pwede daan doon, di ba?
Oo, patient, lang, parang aaral ka na, hindi ka makasabay sa peloton na mabilis, hindi talaga makakasabay.
Naka 29/3 ka pala eh. O, di paano ka sasabay, di ba?
Hindi talaga. So, may limits din talaga yung bikes na i-build, di ba? Siyempre. Piliin mo na rin yung ride na gagawin mo kung gano'n.
Yes. Parang, I mean, buti nga we have gravel bikes. In the sense na, binigyan tayo ng bike that's actually very, very versatile.
Exactly.
In the age of dati, nung nauso yung mga mountain bikes, di ba ang sinasabi nilang pinaka-versatile na mountain bike is a short travel, full suspension 29er. Kasi, it's decent on the road, it does well on the trails, di ba? So, nag-iiba rin siguro yung picture ng versatility na it really depends on where you are geographically and the rides that you do and the terrain that surrounds you. So if you're gifted, example, taga Baguio ka, tapos ang daming magagandang trails doon, I would understand if you would opt for a mountain bike to be your one bike to do it all. Kasi yun yung nakapaligid sa iyo. Paano tayo dito sa Maynila na ang mga nakapaligid sa atin, sabihin natin trail, La Mesa, trail-wise, tapos may Timberland ka, tapos may Heroes Trail ka. Pero most of the rides actually that are available to you are more of gravel road rides. Ako, mag-share a loop ka, or mag-pisong kape ka, or magtagaytay kayo, or Philippines. These are actually things that you can do on a gravel bike. So, parang dito, ang pinaka-sensible is gravel bike. So, kumbaga, I guess you really have to assess the sort of rides that you like doing. And then, build your bike towards the rides that you actually like doing. Kaya, ako nga the reason why ngayon, ang gusto ko talaga is a custom bike. Kasi feeling ko after, 13 years of riding, feeling ko nahanap ko na talaga yung riding na gusto kong gawin. Kasi I've tried everything. I've tried enduro, downhill, cross country. Feeling ko yung itong gravel bike or yung randonure. Feeling ko ito na yung gusto ko talaga eh. Kaya gusto ko ng custom bike kasi yun na nahanap ko na kung ano yung, na-distill ko na kung ano talaga yung gusto kong gawin. So yun na yung feeling ko pag nagpa-custom bike ako ngayon, hindi masasayang yung pera ko. Hindi yung tipong kakastart mo palang mag-mountain bike. Kung gusto ko magpa-custom ng mountain bike, paano kung nagsawa ka sa mountain biking? Pwede yung ginastos mong kalahating milyon para sa custom bike, tinapon mo lang. So feeling ko talaga it comes with just keep trying stuff that you might not know if you want it or not. Diba? Kasi you have to try. Baka biglang, naka-road bike ka pero naka-try ka ng downhill. Gusto mo pala ng downhill bike. Parang it's about trying different sides of the biking community, the certain facets of the biking community, so that you actually find what you feel like it entertains you most.
Sino ka ba talaga, di ba? No ba?
Diba? Sakto yun.
Talaga
I respect mga roadies. I respect roadies in the sense na parang grabe, iba yung endurance nila. Tapos I respect cross-country mountain bikers kasi it's a mix of technical skill and endurance, di ba? Power. So I guess it's about where you affiliate yourself with what you want, what you sort of want to gear yourself towards. And you'll only really know if you try. Ang maganda nga sa bike is bikes are actually very, very versatile. It depends on you how you build your bike. So you can actually tailor your bike to yourself depending on what you want.
So yun talaga, may talaga sino ka ba talaga parang
yun.
Doon mo malalaman kung ano yung paano mo isi-set.
Parang Burger King yan, di ba? Di ba yung Burger King, pwede ka mag-custom ng burger. Parang ganun lang.
Parang gusto ko tuloy ng burger.
Pare, tapos onion rings, no? Pwede.
Di ba? Sarap. Eto, since overtime na naman tayo, 10 o'clock, siguro kung may mga tanong pa, sagutin na natin. Meron pa ba? Ayan, Mark Tenson, don't forget your riding mood too. Pamela Angeles, the best rides come with the best company. Agree. Kahit ano
yan si Pam, ang hilig na ride niya. Example, galing lang kami dito, tapos pupunta kami Makati, tapos tambay kami, tapos inom ng konting beer. Yun ang favorite na ride niya.
Wala naman. Ba't ka pa magpapagod kung gano'n lang yung ride, no?
Oo, di ba?
Okay na yun. Jet pa ka pa. Yan na si Jet, Ano bang affiliation mo, Pao? Sa community pantry mo? Ayop.
Di ba sabi ko nga sa'yo, bro, di ba? Sabi mo, ano ba yung affiliations mo? Actually ako, parang wala naman ako affiliations. Sabi ko, Moes. Sabi ni Jet, pare, parang na-red tagging ka ata. Parang, reply ko sa kanya, pare, bakit ako ma-red tagging? Wala naman ako community pantry, pare.
Grabe yung community pantry na yan. Gulo. Pati pa. Ano pa ba? May mga question pa ba tayo na miss? Eto, coffee ride. Anong in-order mo sa coffee shop? Food and coffee. Wala lang. Tinatanong lang talaga namin siya sa lahat ng guests.
Coffee ride. Actually, I rarely drink coffee.
Ako nga pala.
I was not really someone who was, iba tao kailangan ng kape. Ako kasi hindi ako nagkakape. Pero if I actually have to order a coffee, it's usually like flat white or cappuccino, something like that. Kasi, yun nga, dahil hindi ako nagkakape, parang nagsashy away ako dun sa mga matatapang eh. Kasi, nagpapalpitate ako pag ganun eh. For someone who isn't used to drinking coffee, di ba? So, iinom ka ng kape. Feeling ko parang hype up ako talaga eh.
Food stop or coffee shop food. Ano bang in-order mo pag food stop?
Food stop. Depends. Really depends. I mean, kami kasi nag-tour kami palagi. There are certain stops that we really stop for food. Like, pag nagko-cordy kami, pag dumating kami sa Sabangan, may maliit na karinderya dito na nagluluto ng sobrang sarap na chicken curry. As in, ang sarap talaga ng chicken curry. Parang, hindi siya yung usual na Pinoy style ng chicken curry na iba yung may gata, ganyan. Ito parang ano talaga eh, parang legit Indian style chicken curry. Yung talaga mapapa-extra rice ka talaga eh. Tapos, yung bayan pa na yun, yung simula nung Mount Data Climb. Eh yung Mount Data Climb, parang 30 kilometers yun na dire-diretso na walang recovery. So talagang load up kami doon. So yun, yung mga ganon. Or, ano po ba? Kinakainan din kami sa may Sanel, sa may La Trinidad, na sobrang sarap ng ano nila. Yung pritong bituka ng baboy. Na talagang grabe. Yun yung halata bang wala akong pakialam sa nutrition pa. Kasi usually yung mga puro mga energy bar eh, tsaka mga electrolytes eh. Hindi kami ganun.
Pritong bituka ng baboy.
Pritong bituka pare, tapos yung mga tipong lechon kawali. Yun ang mga fueling food.
Laban yun. Tas ahon ulit,
mga 30 kilometers na ahon. Sobrang inaantok ko yun, mga 5 oras yung titirahin yun.
Ayan o. Sabi ni Earl Bautista, ikaw second runner-up sa King of Coffee Ride. Second longest show. Okay lang yan. Wala ba si Chuck dito? Hindi ba nanonood si Chuck?
Natulog na ata.
Sabi niya, parang... Oo. Well, sabi, parang beer lang si Pa. So, anong beer ang in-order mo sa coffee ride? Malamig na.
Yeah.
Naka-apat na siya. 4 beer.
Malapit yun ang Kunin itong mga gin dito eh. Pero okay na ako sa
4. Si Chuck nandito. Chuck. Binabantayin mo yung record mo, ha? Ano pa ba to?
Chuck, ano ba to?
Chuck Ronquillo, ano yan? Mountain bike.
Taga-South ba siya? Baka kilala
Dirty
si
South.
Johnson Kasi
Kilala mo?
Kilala ko sa South eh. I mean, my friend kasi si Johnston he moved to Verdana. Tapos doon na siya umiikot sa mga rides niya. Usually kasi dati, taga dito sa Manila yun. So, nakaka-ride ko siya. Now, when he moved to the South, mostly mga South Peaks na yung mga ka-ride niya.
Ayan, no? Si Tito Chuck's trail yan. May sariling trail. Gumawa silang trail sa loob ng Alabang.
Siya big time.
Then may project nila yun for Alabang.
No, I have Alabang.
Ayan,
Alabang.
si Ton Ong.
Si Ton Ong. Kilala siguro.
Kilala niya. Ayan, kilala niya. Sorry, di mo nakikita yung comments.
Hindi, it's
si
fine.
Ton Ong, Sai, Erin. Tito
Si
Chuck,
Ton Ong,
pwede
walang...
ba kaming... Ano yan?
Si Ton Ong, lahat ng bike nun titanium. Kaya tawag namin doon si Titanium Ton. Si TI Ton yun. Kasi hindi siya, pag sumasakay sa bike na bakal yun, ginagalis yun.
Ayan, one of these days, bibisita kami dyan sa Tito Chuck's Trail sa Alabang.
Pwede.
Nagbuo
yung mga roadie, kailangan magkaroon na ng mga mountain bike. Grabe pa.
Kuha tayong mountain bike, Tito Chuck. Ride tayo dyan. Or set natin yan. So yun, I
Pero
guess.
actually, if there was a bike that I would recommend
Ayan.
na something that you would have na it actually really increases your skill in terms of riding, get a single speed mountain bike. A single speed 29er mountain. Kasi parang siya eh. Dahil wala siyang cambio, matututo ka parang pag maahol, di ba? Parang matututo ka maging ingenious into parang ano kaya maaakit to? Parang gano'n. So it teaches you a lot in the sense na you're really left to your own devices. If you have like a single speed mount. Tapos syempre pag sa trail, it's not like being on the road na makakabuo ka ng pedaling cadence. Syempre pag mabato yung trail or uneven yung terrain, yung cadence mo na labo-labo eh. So parang kailangan matuto ka mag-spin and mag-mash at the same time. Tapos you have nothing to fall back on kasi wala kang cambio. Parang gano'n. So ako kasi personally parang yun yung bike ko na pinakamaraming tinuro sa akin in terms of riding skill. Single speed 29 rigid mount.
Yun. Ayan, sabi ni Vic, swak mga bike ni Pao sa AAV Trails, sa Tito Chuck Trails. Pali! Sakto pali!
I have this friend na recently na nag-start mag-bike si Anton. Ewan ko kilala ni Tito Chuck to si Anton Labor. Parang nag-iikot rin sila sa Ayala, Alabang. And I have this friend din si Chi Juan na ewan ko yung community nila eh. Pero yun lang yung mga kilala ko from the south eh. Kasi parang may sarili sila community doon eh.
Minsan bisitahin natin si Tito Chuck sa Tito Chuck's Trail.
Yan.
So single speed mountain bike talaga, no? Puta,
Parang it teaches you everything eh. You're left to your own devices. Na wala kasing, hindi yung parang ahon, tapos bigla, hindi, okay lang, kakambyo ko lang. Wala ka namang cambio eh. So wala kang choice. Di ba? Tapos, pag sa trail, kailangan maging ingenious ka kasi parang hindi mawala yung momentum. Isasaksak mo yung bike sa mga liko na sobrang bilis. Kasi ayaw mo pumadyak eh. Parang it's all about maintaining momentum or being ingenious about where you actually go, how you attack climbs. Siyempre, lugi ka sa ahon. Lugi ka rin sa patag kasi yung gearing mo kulang. So it's really such a compromised thing na it teaches you a lot about how you have to control the bike, how you pedal.
Sige, yan ang tip. Pro tip. No, Paco. Diyan ka pa ba?
Ayoko bigay ng tips kasi puta may pro tayo dito eh. Ako naman tambay ako sa kanto eh.
Wala naman kami alam sa gravel eh. And si Mong nagbuo. Ayan, si Mong nagbuo ng single. Hindi. Yung single speed ni Mong, ano yan? Single speed na
baka may motor.
Road. Hindi, road yan. Sineli na mash eh.
Fixie.
Pero single speed, naka-free.
Hindi ko kaya, naninira ata ng tuhod yun. Kaya ayoko ng fixie. Nag-try ako mag-fixie dati, hindi ako tumigil eh. Hindi ako sa meb lang eh. Pagkatapos ayoko.
Hybrid. Fairness. So ito, question ni Sydney. Paano po ba makakasama sa gravel rides nyo?
So yung Sid, wag nga siya magtanong kasi pag nag-gravel ride ako, kasama rin naman. Yan ang kasama ko eh, nag-gravel ride.
Minsan
pero ano talaga, maganda naman sa gravel riding. Dahil it's all about exploration. Lalo na ngayon, lahat naman tayo may phone na may map, di ba? So, I guess as long as may cellphone signal ka, huwag ka matakot na mag-explore. Kasi minsan, tsaka kami nga, ang dami naming napupuntahang lugar na maganda dahil lang nawala kami. Yung mga ganun. Yung dahil naman may phone ka, you can always find your way out. Pero
Worst case, pwede
Diba?
mag-taxi pa uwi.
Oh, well, pag
Lang.
nasa Real Quezon ka, mahal ng taxi mo nun.
Oo.
Mga 6,000 siguro yung taxi mo nun. Kailangan
Alright,
marami
Legend.
ng pera.
Or ang pro tip dyan, bayaran mo yung tricycle driver na ihatid ka dun sa kalyang alam mo.
Siya, paano ko malayo kayo? Mahal din.
Dali ka sa highway, no? Sa SLEX, gano'n.
Baka ilayo ka pa ng tricycle driver, di ba? Tipong nasa Daang Hari ka, tapos sabihin mo yung alam mong highway sa Tagaytay. Siya, baka iahon ka pa ng Tagaytay.
Ayan yung mga sila mong SSCX, Single Speed CX.
Okay rin yun. Kaya lang, I personally have never tried. Pero, parang ang hirap kasi.
Oo.
Di ba kasi, for me, kasi if you wanna put down the power, you have to have some kind of mechanism to put the traction down. Sino mo kung imamash mo yung CX sa santiit ng gulong mo. So, yung chances of you actually spinning out and losing traction is so much more. So, I guess you'll build better skill. Pero yun nga, it's because you've tried something so much more difficult.
Ayan mong, may value naman, may justification na yung
yung kalokohan.
Oo. Ayan. So wait, before we wrap it up, kasi parang sobrang overtime na tayo. Hindi, okay lang yan. Ito, mga to, nagkukwentuhan na sila dyan sa chat, sa comments eh.
Sorry kung yung mga kaibigan ko in-invade yung chat.
Okay lang.
Sabi mo sa kanila, dapat iban lahat yan eh.
We've had, marami talagang ganyan. Masaya nga. Sayang nga, hindi mo nakikita lahat ng comments eh.
Oo nga eh, kasi baggy yung laptop ko. Ayoko makomment. Baka biglang naghahanghang eh. Hirap eh.
Yun na nga eh, sayang. Kasi ang dami nilang comment.
Honestly, I guess yun yung picture ng gravel riding community. Sobrang, kalokohan lang talaga. Kumbaga parang mga tambay lang na binigyan mo ng mga bisikleta. Parang ganun yung nangyari. So, if I were to sum up yung gravel riding community, kami kasi, at least from my friends, most of our rides are, tara, kain tayo doon sa taas. Ganyan. Alam mo, ganun lang eh. Hindi yung mga tipong, ito, sarap tirahin ito kasi ang ganda ng ahon. Ganyan. It's more or less for the most relaxed or most trivial reasons lang na parang gusto lang namin tumambay. Parang gano'n. Kaya siguro yung comments ko puro mga kagaguhan na yung nakalagay.
Ayan, Sir Pao, paggupit na po kayo.
Alam mo, girlfriend ko yan eh. Kaya naiinis siya sa mahaba ang buhok.
Sir Pao talaga. Hi, madam. Evening.
Mahal magpagupit eh. Okay lang. Wala tayong pera dahil napunta na doon sa bike. So, pahabain.
Pala, hindi tayo nagtanungan ng presyo ng bisikleta dito ngayon, no?
You know what? Ako kasi, I'm someone na, syempre, I commute on my bike. And people ask me how much. And I'm not really someone who's comfortable in saying how much my bike costs. It's like asking someone how much do you make every month. It's like asking for someone's salary. Pero ako genuinely, in the way that I build my bikes, I don't know. Kasi gradual ako. In the sense na, usually yung bikes ko, dati siyang ganito. Tapos pinalitan ko ng frame. Tapos, I upgrade slowly from there. So, I really can't keep track on how much. So, kung tanongin nila ako na, sir, magkano inabot dito sa bike? I honestly cannot tell them how much. Kasi it's an incremental thing. Kasi ako, hindi ako yung type na bibili ako ng gamit para matayo. Fine, tayo na. Tapos, yung bibili ka ng in-between parts, pero hindi naman din yung gusto mo. Diba, usually you want this part that's usually very expensive. Tapos para mag-upgrade lang, you upgrade incrementally. hindi ako ganun eh. Pag-iipunan ko na lang yung mahal. Kasi yung bibilin mo in between para sa akin, parang sayang sa pera yun. Kasi hindi naman yun yung gusto ko eh. Di ba? Tapos, pag binenta mo yung hindi mo gusto, babarating ka lang sa bike Changi. Parang, gamit na yan eh. Kasi ganito, di ba? So why not just save for what you want? So parang sa akin, in that process, yung total value ng bike is actually lost eh. Hindi ko ma-determine eh. Kasi I did not buy it. I mean, if I were a rich guy and I could actually spend, example, pupunta lang ako ng Specialized. Gusto ko ng Vinci. O sige, maglalaglag ako ng 800,000. Di ba? Di ba? Hindi naman lahat ng tao ganun eh. Some people usually start with, bili ako bike 50K, tapos bibili ako ng ganitong part. That's usually really how it happens. So, yung value of the bike is really lost in the process.
Yeah, at least walang declare. Tama. Joseph, David, makinig ka kung paano pag tinanong ka, hindi kasi hindi ko alam.
Hindi, kaibiganin niyo yung bike shop para yung resibo pwedeng i-underbuy. O may dami na resibo. Sabihin niyo yung bike niyo 50K lang, pero 600,000 pala yung bike, di ba? Pero may resibo kayo, wala naman siya masasabi.
Yan, si Joseph naglilista na yan.
Sir Vic, Narciso, ng Specialized, di ba? Yeah. Parang pwede may dami receipt, di ba?
Yun talaga. Mas mahal, pero may presyo yung resibo, no?
Plus 5,000 yung resibo.
Plus 5,000 yung resibo.
Gusto mo resibo siya 5,000. Oh, di ba?
Plus 5K. Ano to? Ayun. Sige, let's wrap it up since wala nang masyadong ano. Pao, thank you for coming on the show. Dami namin natutunan.
So much.
Sobrang dami namin natutunan.
I hope today naman na may natutunan nga kayo dahil.
Oo, natutunan na yung mga friends mo, solid.
So, pare, yung mga yan, ano yan, malalakas mag-bike yan, pero mas malalakas sila uminom. Yun lang ang masasabi.
Yan ang magandang kasama.
Yung ending PR na ride, kailangan may beer.
Pumi-PR bawat ride sa inom.
Oo. Pilsen record yun. PR.
Diba? You have any final message to everyone watching?
Well, ano lang.
People you want to thank, ganyan.
Well, thank you for everyone who watched. I mean, if they felt like this was worth their time, thank you so much for listening into the gravel bike talk. Pero yun nga, I mean, the gravel biking community is a very relaxed community. I mean, don't feel very intimidated into joining the community. Pero I guess just be guided in what you want to do with your bike, how you want to build it up. Madali naman mag-research, di ba? Ang daming makikita sa Google, sa internet. I guess just if you want to build up a gravel bike, do your homework. It's hard to rely on people. Like, ang daming nagtatanong sa, di ba, usually sa Facebook na parang, paano po yung ganito, paano yung ganyan. I mean, gravel bikes are so personal na it really is down to what you actually want out of it. So, if you can do your own research and you can piece it together on your own, that might be a better thing as compared to asking people about stuff na might not be relevant to you. So just I mean the community is very very accepting. It's just that I guess you just have to do your own research. Para you're well informed rin. Diba? I mean, the more informed you are, the less money you actually waste. But that's a big thing. We don't want to buy parts that we don't actually need. So, ganun din yun. It's a very relaxed community naman. Ang dami mo pwedeng gawin with gravel bikes, which is a good thing for me.
And meron kang gusto pa salamatan?
Well, yun nga, sila Slow Moes, Slow Moes, sila Pam and Patoys ng Bikery, yung guys from Fffnas, thank you for fucking hijacking the thread kahit puro kagaguhan lang yung mga kinomments nyo. Okay lang, di ba? I mean, thanks to you guys for inviting me. It was, I enjoyed a lot. Honestly, nung kinontak ako ni Ike, parang, anong gagawin ko dun? Ganun yung dating. Pero I really enjoyed. I mean, text to my girlfriend, yes, magpapagupit na rin ako soon. Pag naka-schedule ako ng ano, haba na daw ng buhok ko. Pero, yun. Thanks to everyone who, what. I hope na some people get enticed into actually trying. Just try.
Yeah, again, check out the accounts, Bikery, Slow-Mo's, Off Kilter.
Oh, yun, sila Sai, Off Kilter.
Sila Sai.
Sai
Did you forget anyone? Ayun, check out the stuff for your gravel, for your bike needs. Just check them out. Baka may maisipan kayong bilhin dyan. Go.
Ang daming budol dyan. Kila Pam, kila Sid, Slow-Mo's. Yeah, ang dami dyan. Kung sobrang yaman nyo, gusto nyo magsunog ng pera, pakicontact nyo sila para naman spread the wealth tayo. Diba?
Buy now, think later.
Buy until it hurts. Diba? Yun ang
Tayo tayo dyan.
Yun ang number one.
Oh. Ikaw pa ako, any final?
Well,
May
syempre,
message
thank
ka
you
ba?
kay Pao. Ang dami natin natutunan tungkol
Oo.
sa gravel. Hindi lang sa mga gravel bikes, pati na rin sa community ng gravel riding, di ba? Alam natin na malakas pala sila uminom.
Yan! Malakas kami tumambay. Yun ang number one.
Pero yun, syempre, ang goal naman natin parati dito is to educate yung mga taong gustong pumasok sa mundo ng cycling. Alam natin medyo intimidating minsan yung pagbili ng bike, pagsakay sa bike, yung mundo ng paghahanap ng ruta, yung buong mundo ng cycling minsan kahit sa Pilipinas parang sobrang intimidating, and tingin ko yung gravel riding and the way na kung paano i-describe ngayon ni Pao sa atin yung mundo nila, parang mas maraming tao yung ma-entice na pumasok dahil less intimidating yung gravel. Yun nga sabi ni Pao, parang sobrang personal nung pagbuo ng bike. Ikaw bahala, di ba? Kung galing ka ng road, may flavors ng road. Kung galing ka ng mountain bike, may flavors ng mountain bike. And at the same time, kung wala kang pinanggagalingan, blank canvas
Research
yung
na.
nasa harap mo, di ba? Pwede ka mag-research, maraming pagtatanungan. So, ayun, syempre, yun lang yung gusto nating mangyari dito, na magkaroon ng mas maraming tao na on two wheels, lalo sa pagbabike, na mas makakaintindi sa mga mundo na marami pala yung pagbabike, hindi lang pala bumili ng bike sa bike shop at magbike, di ba? So at least maraming
Sana
tao
si Mars
yung
bumili ng
na-enlighten.
gravel bike. Diba?
Yeah.
Si Mars, alam ko, roadie yan.
Yan ay susunod.
Sunod. Game.
Sana si Mars meron. Vic, pairamin mo si Mars ng Roubaix. Okay na yung Roubaix. Okay na Diverge.
Ayan, so
Diba?
yan, thank you sa lahat. Thank you kay Pao, thank you sa mga kaibigan niya. Hopefully makasama natin sila mag-ride at pagandaan natin yung inom na sinasabi nila.
Yan. Chill lang tayo.
So again, thanks Pao. Thank you for joining us. And then ako,
Thank you so much.
yan, ako I'd like to thank Specialized Philippines, Specialized Asia Hub, Nike Philippines, Rudy Project, Tumi, and Endurance Lab. And this has been Coffee Ride. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.